What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, Manchester United 2, Tottenham 0. Sim back from his long journey up north to Manchester, came back with 0 points and the captain out for 4 games and left back out for God knows how long.
Everything I seemed like yesterday that could go wrong just did go wrong yesterday in terms of the Spurs game, the results in other games as well. It was not a good day footballing-wise to be a Tottenham fan, but I had a good day.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. I'm glad you had a good day because none of us did. You know, I was in here just going through the motions and it was just so frustrating, man. It was really frustrating. We'll get into the game in a minute, but give us a atmosphere check, vibe check. I saw the crowd was singing Mauricio Pochettino's name.
Yep.
I saw the crowd was singing Romero's right, the border shite, and then a few seconds later he gets sent off.
Yeah. You know, actually, obviously going into the game, before the game, I was chatting to a lot of fans before. Everyone seemed like fairly confident we're going to show up today and, so, you know, maybe we'll get a result. And
that was probably the first warning sign.
Yeah, probably. Everyone was quietly maybe the way we finished that Man City game just gave people that little bit of confidence, you know, turning up to Man United, who we have a good record against in recent times. Maybe we're going to show up and get a result. And it's also not easy to forget, obviously we don't forget it, but we have a little thing with United because obviously we beat them in Bilbao, so we definitely we're very keen to remind them of that during the game.
But not only did we beat them in Bilbao, they haven't beaten us since 2022. It's been a long run.
But in terms of just giving the obviously the Man United fans a lot of banter during the game, we were constantly the away fans.
Yeah, we had bragging rights for sure.
Yeah, champions of Europe. We know what we are. 17th. I don't know how we won it in Bilbao. Just constantly. There was, and I think early before the game, as leading up to kickoff, and also for the first half an hour, the away crowd was absolutely brilliant. Even though, to be fair, even after a 1-0. You know, I think that we kept chanting. I don't know if you were listening on the headphones, but I thought they were pretty loud. And for a lot of it, the Tottenham fans were in full voice supporting the team. No boos. There was no toxicity, even at the end of the game. No boos or anything. I think maybe the fans appreciated the circumstances. 10 men. We did battle for a lot of the game to try and stay in it, and unfortunately things went against us. Yesterday wasn't the day where I looked at it and think, yeah, everything's terrible. I mean, in terms of the team and everything, we played so bad, and, you know, Frank, what's he doing, and all this kind of stuff. I didn't really put yesterday on Frank. Obviously, I definitely lay a lot of the blame for what happened result-wise on Romero. But I think the team tried their best. They battled hard under very difficult circumstances against a United team, obviously in good momentum and good form. I didn't think they were anything special, but we just gave ourselves too much to do, didn't we, with the red card and what position that put us in, and then the injuries as well. We picked up another injury with Doggy, and we have a mountain to climb, didn't we, in the game. But in terms of the fans, I thought they were brilliant yesterday, absolutely brilliant, top notch, great away atmosphere, constantly supporting the team, constantly singing. I don't think the team could have asked for better support yesterday, to be honest.
Look, this is the Spurs away fans in a nutshell, man. Always turn up. Always support the team, and brilliant fans that have been beaten up all season and all of last season, to be fair, as well, and still turn up in their droves and still back the team. So that's great to hear. In terms of the game, obviously the lineup got announced. I think everyone assumed it was going to be a back 3. It wasn't, and Paulinho was in midfield, and we went for a back 4,
which I think was the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I think for the opening half an hour, I would say United was slightly the better team. They probably created the better chances, but we were well in the game. And, you know, we had our moments as well. And I think the first half an hour went in waves a little bit. United were dominating the early stages, then we came back and dominated for a little bit, then United dominated a little bit. And look, I think anyone was in the game at that point. It was it was fairly even. And I think, you know, Spurs looked like we came out to play a little bit, and you know, you just can't account for what happened with Cuti Romero. It was just so frustrating because, on the back of those comments in midweek, everyone's saying, "Oh, what a hero!" Speaking for the fans, my captain, all this kind of stuff, talking about how much of a disgrace it is that we don't have enough players. Well, now we don't have him for the next 4 games, and he needs to I thought a year ago, last season, the year before, we were talking about Romero being like, all right, look, he's actually towing this line really well, not being overly aggressive, but still being aggressive enough to compete in games. And I thought he was doing really well from that aspect after, a couple of years of bad moments that we saw from him. But this season it's crept right back in, worse than ever, to be honest. 10 yellow cards, 2 red cards. He's now our most ever player in the Premier League, or level with Yunus Kabul, most red cards in the Premier League era. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realise he got sent off. So what
4 red cards.
For Tottenham?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think
a lot less games.
Probably. I think a lot of them were in maybe the latter stages when he was kind of done, kind of Yunus Kabul in the last couple of years. But anyway, Romero and Yunus Kabul hold the record for most red cards for Tottenham in the Premier League era. That's 4. 6 altogether, Romero, since joining the club. I mean, what can I say? He ruined that game for us. He really did. And look, I thought there was a couple of decisions afterwards that, were a bit poor from Frank. But in terms of that aspect, you're well in the game, you're competing really well against the Manchester United side that are banging form, and then that happens and it throws everything out.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. As much as I love Romero and I'll defend him, he ruined the game yesterday. He cost us because, as you say, I think the early exchanges, I wouldn't say we were brilliant, but it was an even game, and I think we were popping it around a bit. They were popping it around a bit. The game kind of went a bit like how I'd thought. Like, we were trying to obviously engineer good quality chances, and we were trying to find those little moments in the box. Obviously, Gallagher had a shot, didn't he, early on the game, which nearly, I mean, it would have been a difficult goal, I think, wouldn't it?
I think he should have scored the one there with Gallagher at the back post.
Oh wait, I don't remember that one.
That must have been after the red card.
I think Xavi put a cross into that near post. He kind of tried to volley it across the face of goal, didn't he? And it was a pretty easy pick up for Lamens. But what will happen with United was exactly what I expected them, given how confident they are at the moment and the players they got. They're so confident and in their momentum, they're just going to try things. So as soon as Cunha picks up a yard of space outside the box,
what an effort that was.
Goal. Casemiro had an effort at goal as well, which forced a good save out of Vicario. Like, they were trying things, because when you've got good players like Cunha and Bruno, whatever, they've got these players where you give them a moment, they can produce some magic and they know it. And when they're confident and they're not got a manager drilling in their head, okay, you can only shoot at this point or whatever, like, they can kind of feel the moment, and that's what they've been doing in recent weeks. And obviously, it's been they've been getting goals out of it, and that's what they were doing earlier in the game. And they were looking like trouble, obviously, early on. They probably had the better chances, but yeah, Spurs definitely were in the game, and we were looking confident. Obviously, Gallagher was playing in the number 10, wasn't he? Was it a 4-3-3 or Gallagher?
4-2-3-1.
Yeah, so Gallagher was a bit further forward, which is, funny enough, apparently what Gallagher was supposed to be playing in his first game before Paulinho picked up a late injury. So maybe we're going to see that more going forward.
I didn't mind him in that position either.
Yeah, I think when it comes to how Frank wants to play, him making those late runs and him, I think that's what he's very good at, obviously, making those runs in the box, untracked and whatever. And he was finding a bit of joy. He had another moment where I think Lamens gives him the ball, and he, could he have shot open goal, but won the foul anyway. That was obviously a bit harsh. But anyway, as you say, we're in the game. There was one early tackle as well from Romero, which I thought he got the ball, and the referee blows up for a foul.
He did get the ball.
And I was like, okay, why is he blowing up that? That was frustrating. And then, obviously, the moment with the red card. Now, I've analysed it a few times. I've watched it over and over again. The first time I saw it, I was like, is that really a red? And then there's definitely another angle where you see Casemiro's ankle roll over. And look, he can't have any complaints, Romero. Although what I would say is, very similar in terms of what I'll say about the Xavi red card, is you are going to see challenges like that not given a red this season. And it's very frustrating with the consistency. And in fact, it happened within a few hours. Brian Brobby has a very similar challenge on an Arsenal player, and there's no red card given. And I think it's one of those where it's 50-50 in a sense that if the referee pulls out a red card, he can have no complaints and it's not going to be overturned. But it's also one he could have given a yellow, and maybe VAR doesn't get involved, and maybe we just move on with the game. But I don't think he can really complain, Romero. I have a bit of sympathy in the sense that I don't think it's just like a strong challenge. He's obviously trying to clear the ball forcefully, and Casemiro just nips in. He gets obviously he misses the ball, gets it wrong, and rolls over on Casemiro's ankle. It's not a good challenge. I
don't really have any sympathy. I have no sympathy whatsoever. I thought it was a stonewaller, in my opinion.
I don't think it was a stonewaller.
I think it was. I think it was studs up in the ankle. In this day and age, you can't make those kind of challenges. It's a common theme that we've seen with Romero. Second red card in the Premier League. He could have easily got 4 red cards in the Premier League this season as well.
Yeah, the other red card wasn't for tackles, was it?
Regardless, it's the same thing that keeps happening. It's the same thing that keeps happening. Overzealous.
Tackles are a common theme. That I'm saying the other red card wasn't for a tackle.
Fine, but these kind of moments keep happening with Romero. He puts us under way too much pressure in games, and he could have easily be sitting here with 4 red cards in this Premier League campaign, which is crazy. And now, in a real time of need, of desperation, that he mentioned in his Instagram post last week, that I commended, that he came out and said, he's left us without him for 4 games now.
Absolutely.
And we've got real problems at the back, like real problems at the back. Danso's out for the foreseeable. Dragshin's just coming back from an ACL. He's going to have to be playing probably 4 games in a row now. We've got Mickey van der Ven, who's fit, obviously. That's our only 2 fit centre-backs. We've got Destiny Udogie that's out now. We've got Spence. Is he going to be back for next game? Let's hope so. We got Porro out for the next 2-3 weeks, however long he's going to be out for. So our backline is massively struggling. This is something that we just did not need, especially from our captain and such a key player for us.
No, I completely agree with all of that. And no, the reason I say it's not a stonewall is for exactly the reason what I started. There will be challenges similar to that won't be given a red card this season, because I think it can kind of go in the balance with a challenge like that, because it wasn't that high. It was on the ankle, but he was going for the ball, obviously, and look, it just happens sometimes. I don't think it was like malicious, but it was reckless, 100%. There are some challenges like that which you're nowhere near the ball and it's just a malicious challenge. I don't think it was quite that. And as I say, there will be challenges like that, and we saw a few hours later,
it was
there
reckless.
was a challenge. Yeah, it was reckless, 100%. I think it had no complaints, but the reason why I say it's not a stonewaller is it wasn't one of those where 10 out of 10 you get a red card. It's more of a 50-50 one where sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't, and you can't have any real complaints about getting one.
I think more times than not, you'll see a red in those situations.
You saw Dallo have a knee-high challenge. It wasn't, VAR didn't put it up.
Yeah, they should have, though. That was the wrong decision.
I'm just saying, there's just so many of those. Like, we had one, Javi did get a red card, and there's so many challenges similar to that where they just won't give it. And it's just
regardless,
kind of what ref you have on the day.
Yeah, fine, that's fine. But, I mean, that can go for any single challenge in the Premier League these days. But I think with that, more times than not, it's a red card, and the right decision is a red card.
Yeah, I think...
So if the right decision is a red card, then it's a red card. What more can you say on it?
Yeah, I think he can't have any complaints. I think the right decision probably is a red card. I don't think he can complain. But again, I'm frustrated with the consistency of a lot of the referees this season when it comes to those kind of challenges where it's very 50-50. But anyway, in terms of like who's making the ball, I mean, like in terms of within a split second he doesn't make it, and then the challenge comes in. But as you say, Romero, it's a horrible look for him because he has been, as you say, railing against the board. He's making these statements. He's trying to, be a voice for the dressing room. And then he kind of, you could argue, sells the dressing room down the river in a way by getting that red card with the situation we're in the game that we're in as well. He sells him out by getting that red card, and then and now he's missed the next 4 games, and he missed the last hour of this game when we were well in the game. So it's completely cost us 100%. We are in dire straits at the moment when it comes to players available and points that we need on the board. We're 2 wins in 16. So he's cost us massively. And for that to happen on the week that, he's done a social media message, he's going to get criticism, and rightly so. He's going to get people on his back saying, well, if you cared that much, would you have done that? And, are you a leader? I do think some of the stuff has been over the top. Like, I think the journalists in the press conference asked about 3 times if Frank was going to strip him of the captaincy. I think that's just crazy talk, in my opinion.
They asked him before the game as well, to be fair.
They asked him before the game. But they asked him, and he was like, no. They're like, do you regret giving Romero the captaincy? Well, no. Okay, so you definitely are going to keep him as captain? Yes. Oh, you sure about that? Yeah, you think he's a leader? Yes. Like, I think this whole narrative, like, because he got a red card in this game, that should call his leadership skills into question. I understand what people are saying. Oh, he's can be a bit too rash. Is this the kind of captain you want? But some of the best captains the Premier League's ever seen have been known for getting, all the games ever seen, have been known for getting red cards. Roy Keane had 11 red cards at Man United. Patrick Vieira holds a record for the most red cards in Premier League history with 8 red cards.
I know, but it was a different game back then.
I'm just saying, Sergio Ramos had 18 red cards for Real Madrid. Was he a bad leader? Was he a bad centre-back? Like, I understand red cards aren't a good thing. I'm not saying the more red cards, the better. I'm just saying the fact that you're prone to a red card doesn't make you a bad player or someone who can't lead a team. Like, I think that narrative is absolutely terrible, and I think it's a narrative played on Romero because a lot of people have this perception of him. Look, rightly or wrongly, there's definitely a perception of Romero of he's just a reckless defender who's a liability, who you can't rely on, and whenever there's something like this happens, obviously it plays into that narrative. And maybe at the moment it's hard to argue against it because this season it's 8 yellows and 2 red cards.
Yeah, but put it this way, he's missed 7 games through suspension this season, including these 4 games coming up, right? If he gets another 2 bookings when he comes back, that's another 2 games suspended with 10 yellow cards.
Yeah.
That's 9 games suspended in a season. That's crazy. That's crazy talk. When we talk about last season, I thought, he was doing so well with not going over the top in these kind of challenges. He picked up no red cards last season and 3 yellow cards. This season, he's already picked up 10 yellows and 2 red cards. It's a joke.
But you also got to look at how he plays. He plays on that edge, doesn't he? And when the margins are with you, I think he gets the right line of that edge. And when the margins are right now, the whole team's a mess, the club's a mess. Like, we're defending way too much. He's probably having to put too many challenges in than he used to. When those margins are going against you, all of a sudden, he's on the other side of that. My point is, what you just said is proof that he is capable of being a defender who is reliable and doesn't constantly just get card after card after card. Now, this season, he isn't. And do we analyse it saying, okay, look at Romero, 10 yellow cards or whatever it is, 2 reds, he's clearly a liability, he's clearly going to cost us? Or do you look at some of his other seasons and say, okay, he is capable of that, how do we get that out of him? Now, a lot of people will turn around and say, look, just ship him off. He doesn't want to be here, and let's just sell him. He's a liability anyway, blah, blah, blah. I'm of the other opinion where if you can get into Romero and you get either a different manager or a different way of playing or, get the circumstances right, I think he can be an absolutely fantastic top centre-back who will be very difficult to replace and very difficult to get better than. And I think on his day can be one of the best in the division, and especially in big games, in like big moments, he can be the difference for you. And we've seen it so
agree.
many times.
I do.
So that's how I see it.
I do agree with that. I mean, I don't have many complaints about what you just said, but I think what really puts apart the good players to the world-class players and the great players are, key consistency. No matter what's going on around you, you keep up those levels week in, week out, no matter what. I feel like with Cuti Romero, when the conditions are right, when it's a big game, when everything is working in tandem around him, he's unbelievable and he's such a great player to have. But way too often, when the conditions aren't right around him, he kind of loses concentration sometimes and he doesn't help himself with the consistency levels. That's how I feel with Cuti Romero.
Yeah, but he's in a whole team where everyone's doing...
yeah, but he's supposed to be the best player in the team.
Yeah, I know, but...
And he's the one that's supposed to be the leader and holding up the standards.
You can't be perfect when the team is playing like we are, because he's going to be covering for mistakes. He's going to have so much to deal with. Like, right now, we are in the shit.
But that's the difference I'm saying from the world-class players to the great players.
In this team right now? You think because I'm saying Gabriel because they play in a similar way. You think you put him in the team, he ain't going to be making a bunch of mistakes. Of course he will be. You think I know Konate's making mistakes anyway, but I'm saying you put a defender like Romero's this kind of defender, right? He's proactive. He looks to win the ball back. There's 2 different types of defenders. You've got your Van der Vens, who's kind of like a cover kind of defender who sweeps in behind. He's not the one who's being proactive, looking to put the challenge in. How often do you see Van der Ven proactively win a ball off a defender? He's not that kind of attacker. He's not that kind of defender. He's the one who's going to be waiting to see where the ball drops and then sweep up, or a ball goes over the top, he's running in behind. That's kind of his job. Whereas Romero's job is to be like a bulldog. He's the one, like, anything in the middle, he's coming in, he's putting in a clattering challenge. He's coming, either he's taking the ball, he's taking the man. Like, he's a proactive defender. And he's obviously, the spotlight's going to be on him when things are going wrong, because Van de Ven's not the one putting himself on the line with those challenges. It's going to be Romero, because he's the one that's kind of how he plays. That's his job. That's why they complement each other so well. But when things are going wrong, Romero's going to be more on the spotlight, because he's going to be the one making the fouls. He's going to be the one where if he's caught out, he's the one caught out, right? Because Van de Ven isn't the one pushing up and making that proactive choices. It's going to be Romero. So when the whole team's not functioning, the focus will be on Romero. And any defender, in my opinion, in that kind of role, when you look at, someone like a Gabriel or maybe a Konate, like those are the defenders who are kind of more the bulldogs in those back four. Right now, in a team where we're not functioning, they're the ones that are going to be caught out the most. And that's what I think we're seeing with Romero at the moment. And so we can all sit here and criticise him because he's not playing the best right now. But I think it's a consequence of the functioning of the team. And that's my opinion. And I understand if he considers himself, or people want to call him one of the best defenders in the league, he's got to show it week in, week out. But at the moment, I think you put a lot of defenders in our team at the moment, it's going to be hard for them to show it in that role. That's my opinion.
I don't know, man. I think if you put a Gabriel or a Saliba, a Van Dijk in his pomp, like these kind of players that all consider themselves world class, you'll see a more consistent playing level on a week-to-week basis than we've seen from Coutinho Romero.
I don't know.
I just think it's the way Coutinho Romero is. That's how he plays. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because it's something that we've mentioned about Coutinho Romero for ages now. It's not just this season. His performances have always been kind of up and down, and sometimes more seasons it's been more up than down, and vice versa. But we need to see a more consistent level out of him. And don't get me wrong, I love Coutinho Romero. I think, I agree with you in what you say. If we sell him, we're not getting a better defender through the door. I just can't see it. But for the level of player that he is and for the caliber of player he is, he needs to be showing a more consistent level, in my opinion.
I know, and I understand the focus is going to be on him today and this week because of, first of all, what he said, and then the red card, and he has cost us. No doubt about it, he has cost us massively, and we are now very short for the next 4 games. There's no two ways about it, and considering he is the captain, he has to hold a lot of responsibility. Apparently he did apologise after the game, but those words won't ring hollow with the situation we're in. We need points right now. We are 100% in a relegation battle, which we'll get into, but yeah, with the situation we're in, we can't afford for Romero to be out for 4 games. So it really is a disgrace, to be honest, that we're in that situation and that Romero has cost us so dearly in such a big moment. But as I've said, the focus is on him because of it, but I don't think he's anywhere near our biggest problem at the moment. And I think we need players like Romero. We need players with his mentality, in my opinion, right now and in this club. And I think people will have, just like with anything, people have an emotional response to what happened yesterday, and rightly so. He should come under lots of criticism for letting us down massively, 100%. But I think people making sweeping statements like some people, he should never play for the club again, all this kind of stuff, stripping up the captaincy, it's way over the top. I think he does care. I think his heart's in the right place. I just think right now there are problems at the moment, and I think the consequence of the problems we're having is Romero's not at his best, and maybe he's disillusioned, and we've seen that with some of the comments. Maybe he's disillusioned with the direction of the club, but who can blame him? We're all disillusioned, and I understand he's paid a lot of money. He's the captain. He should hold himself to a higher standard. But then there's a human being, and I think the whole team at the moment is struggling, not just him. And he's going to be singled out because he makes public statements, so he should hold himself to a higher standard. Fair enough, but at the moment we are 14th in the league with 2 wins in 16 games, and that is not all just down to Romero. He's not the only one failing us. But don't get me wrong,
he's part of it.
Yeah, I'm not saying he is definitely failing us at the moment, right? But he ain't the only one. It's the whole team is failing. The manager is failing. Everything.
Yeah, but that's fine. But we're focusing on Romero right now. We're not focusing on the bigger picture.
Yes, but what's the conclusion of this conversation? That we should sell him?
No, definitely not.
That's my point. But that's what I'm railing against. That narrative. That he's
I haven't seen the narrative that we should sell him.
There is. You go all over social media.
I haven't even seen it.
I'm done with Romero. He's rubbish. He's not a leader. He's not my captain. He's just a rash liability. Like all this kind of stuff. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about anyone who wants to criticise him for yesterday. Absolutely fine. And he did let us down yesterday. I'm talking about him as an overall player in that narrative. As do I want him at my football club? Do I want him to be captain? Do I think he could be a very good player for our football club in the right conditions? 100%. And I think any narrative that just looks at red card and says because of that he should be stripped of the cap. What do you mean?
But it's not just that red card, though, is it? It's not just that red card.
Well, we're talking about after yesterday. I know it's not just a red card, but fine, whatever. The red cards that he has had, because of that, he should be stripped of the captaincy. The journalist in the press conference asking Frank 3 times if he's going to strip him of the captaincy. I think all of that is nonsense, in my opinion, and way over the top.
No, I agree to a certain point. I wouldn't strip him of the captaincy. I wouldn't sell him. I wouldn't do this. I wouldn't do that. But he needs to get better. He needs to get better. He's the best player that we've got at this football club. And like you said, the key point of what you said there, he needs to hold himself to a higher standard, a much higher standard than what he's showing right now. And with 2 red cards, potentially it could have easily been 4, like I've mentioned. He can't keep leaving us in the lurch like this. And that's what he's doing. In these games, he becomes a complete liability. Complete liability. And now, for the next 4 games, we've got to play Arsenal without him. We've got massive games against Newcastle, that Crystal Palace game in 3 games' time. I think we've got Fulham, then Crystal Palace. I think that Palace game's like going to be a 6-pointer. Like, with the situation we're in, he cannot keep leaving us in the lurch like this. And yeah, it's not good enough. It's really not good enough, in my opinion. But look, enough of Romero. I think in the first half an hour, like we mentioned, it was very even, but I did feel like Man United were popping it around a lot crisper, a lot smoother than us in those opening 30. But once the red card happens, I thought Frank made a really bad decision in taking off Odegaard for Dragoshin. And at the time, me and Stel were both saying it. It's just like, out of everyone you take off, why Odegaard when he's the only one? You know when you're down to 10 men, man, you're going to push up a little bit more and there'll be a bit more space in behind. Odegaard would be the only runner that we had in that front line that could actually breach the back line of Manchester United. So why take off Odegaard when you're down to 10 men? I just don't get it.
I think that was quite an easy fix as well. You just drop Palini in centre.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
I don't understand like why he wouldn't think of doing that. And it's not like they had like a physical striker on like Sesko or something where you needed Dragoshin there. They were playing Mbeumo up front. And in fact, probably Mbeumo would like to face Dragoshin more than he would like to face Palhinha, like in that kind of position. And obviously, Van der Ven, you still got him there, so you could have easily had just Odegaard on the left, Xavi on the left, Odegaard on the right, Solanke up top, Gallagher and Sarr in the middle. All of a sudden, he takes off Odegaard, puts on Dragoshin, and then we had no counter-attacking threat. Xavi was trying his best, but he had no support and he didn't have the pace to go by himself. Solanke, whatever you want to say about him, he's still not quite 100%. I think we can see at that moment, as much as he's come back and done really well and actually looked good for the circumstance, he didn't look 100% yesterday. Look, it's difficult for him up front by himself. I understand keeping him on because I think on occasion, you know, if we can get the ball to him and he can just hold it up and try and bring some players into play when you've got 10 men or even just relieve the pressure, that's going to be valuable. But didn't quite happen yesterday. I thought, just taking off Odegaard didn't make sense to me.
I thought Maguire dominated Solanke, to be honest.
Yeah, he did. It was tough for Solanke out there, to be honest. It was a difficult game for him, and it kind of just neutered any threat we had that we could have had with 10 men, and we were just boxed in. I get it as well. We are down to 10, so it's going to be difficult regardless. And look, with United having the spare man, they're popping it around more confidently in this game than they have done in previous games because of their momentum and their winning streak. So I think they're more prone to like finding that spare man and finding that space than maybe they would have been before. But I have to say the goal we conceded was pathetic. It was really pathetic. Mbeumo giving all the time in the world to line up that shot on the edge of the area from the short corner where we fell asleep. And also the shot wasn't even that good. Like, I don't understand. I've seen a replay. I thought of it at the time. The shot was like 1 mile an hour. I don't understand how no one gets in front of that or no one puts a leg out or no one stops it or no one's even closing down in Mbeumo when he's lining up that shot. And also Vicario, I don't want to criticise him too much because it does go through a whole sea of bodies and maybe he's either expecting a touch or a clearance, but it seemed to go through in slow motion, like that goal. Like, that wasn't the best strike from Mbeumo. How is no one stopping that?
Yeah, look, regardless of the strike, how good or how poor it was, it's a consistent theme that we've seen all season, just leaving men free on the edge of the box. And to do that, and when you've got Mbeumo there, who we know can put the ball in the back of the net and has a good strike on him, whether it was a good strike or not is irrelevant, because you cannot leave him free in that area of the box. It's just madness. We've seen it all season. Why do we keep persisting with it? It just wound me up so much. It really did. And that decision to take Odegaard off wound me up. Because I think taking Odegaard off just gave you no attacking threat whatsoever at all. So, yeah, I think Frank didn't manage the game too well, to be honest, yesterday. He also waited until the 80th minute to make even more changes, when you could see we were just sitting back waiting to die. And I know we had 10 men and I know it was difficult, but we had no ambition really to go forward whatsoever.
I will defend Frank a bit on that. I think when you are down to 10 men, you are away from home and the game was a 1-0. As long as it stays at 1-0, you've always got a chance.
Yeah, but we were lucky for it to stay at 1-0.
Yeah, we were, but we weren't giving away too many clear-cut opportunities. Vicario did have to make a lot of saves, but a lot of them were just from shots from outside the box. I understand.
Yeah, but shots can go in from outside the box.
Yeah, but you were down to 10 men.
Especially Manchester United.
Yeah, I know, but you're down to 10 men. You've got to restrict them somehow. And if you restrict them from outside the box, then so be it. But you've got one less man. You can't play a perfect game. You have to sacrifice something. And
you can play more of a counter-attacking game, though, and you need Odegaard for that. And
100%.
we didn't. We had no threat on the counter-attack.
No,
whatsoever.
that I'm sure that was down to Frank. I'm sure he wanted to be a threat on the counter-attack, but he didn't set us up to do that. I don't think that was the intention, to not be a threat at all or have no threat. I think the intention was get the ball onto Solanke, try and bring Xavi into play, try and get some runners at points with Sarr and Gallagher running beyond him when we can, and try and get something, but we weren't able to do it. We just weren't able to counter them effectively, and we should have had an Odegaard there. Maybe that could have got us up the pitch more. I'm not saying Frank got it right. I'm just saying in terms of that tactic, to just keep it tight, keep it maybe at 1-0, and then last 10 minutes just have a bit of a go and try and get a goal and try and nick a point. I've seen a lot of clubs do that, like when you are down to 10 minutes. An understandable tactic, not one I like or enjoy, but I understand it. I don't think it's like a terrible thing. I was listening to you and Stell talk about it after the game, saying, "Look, against Liverpool, we went for it with 10 men. With 10 men in this game, we didn't. But actually, you look at that Liverpool game, we didn't really until the last 10 minutes. That's when we went for it, and we obviously nearly got back in it. But you got, unfortunately." To defend Frank a bit on that occasion, when you are down to 10 men, you do have to pick your moments, really. You can't just have a tactic of we're just going to throw caution to the window. Or you can, but knowing Frank, it's a very risky strategy, and you can very easily find yourself 3-4-0 down very quickly before the game's even over. So I don't think it's a bad tactic, but what happened on the pitch is we made those subs to come on, right? Then that was the point. We're going to have a go, right? Moani comes on, Basuma comes on, Tell comes on. I think that was just before 10 minutes to go. I think if that was Frank saying, okay, we've lasted this long. And to be fair to the team, I thought they battled well. I actually think they were fighting to keep the score down. And I did think they battled. I don't think it was a case of we were just out there waiting to concede. I did think they battled quite hard, but you're down to 10 men. You're going to concede chances. You're going to concede shots. You're just going to have to get through it. And I think they did. And I think they did quite well for a period. And then once those 3 subs came on, within 30 seconds, they scored, right, didn't they? After those subs.
It was, about 20 seconds, yeah.
So the game plan is then completely out the window at that point, because you've just made the subs to get back in the game when the score's still at 1-0. You're like, okay, we've got a chance here. And then when you conceded it within 30 seconds, then the game's done, really done, and you can't really do anything. And I really felt for Frank a bit in that moment, because he's just made the subs to try and do it, and then it goes against you. So for me, when you're down to 10 men, look, I think Frank didn't manage it perfectly at all, but there's only so much you can do, I feel like, when you're down to 10 men. You've got to try and do the best of what you got. And you picked up an injury with a doggy, so you got to put Sousa on as well, who looked okay, but look, it's still a 19-year-old kid making his debut.
He got skinned at one point in our box, completely skinned. But look, going forward, he looked like he wanted to go forward. He looked like he had a bit of pace about him to run down the flank. So look, he's going to need to be called upon over the next few weeks. He's going to need to be used. So let's see how quickly he can acclimatise to it all. But Yeah, we just needed to keep a runner up front, and I think that would have done us the world of good. It would have kept Man United second-guessing a little bit down the other end, and we would have been able to play those long balls a bit more successfully. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Frank took him off, and I think it nullified us even more than we were going to be nullified without him. So I think Frank was a big reason why we carried little threat, particularly in that second half. I think as well with Javi, I think if anything was going to come, it was going to come through him, and he probably looked like our biggest spark throughout the second half. However, I did think there are a number of times when it looked like Spurs could have got on and does something, and he picked the wrong pass, or his pass was a bit heavy. There was this one moment when Javi had it on the left-hand side of the box, about, I think, 30 yards out or something. And Conor Gallagher was making a brilliant run on his right-hand side, and he was pretty much free. And he goes and plays it to the left-hand side to the wing to get across in the box. And I was like, it's happened a few times, a few similar situations like that. So
that's probably Frank instruction.
Yeah, whatever it is. But Javi, if you're on the pitch, you got to pick the right pass, and you got to, have the right weight of the pass as well.
I thought Javi did well yesterday.
I
was impressed with him. I thought, considering we were down to 10 men, I was watching very closely, and he was playing it so much quicker than he usually does. I don't think he was losing the ball as carelessly as he has done. The fact we were down to 10 men, he tried his best. He tried his best to be a spark and get us in the game. He had a nice shot as well from 25 yards after a mistake, I think it was from Luke Shaw, which was a decent effort, went just wide. Had a brilliant piece of skill, I thought, on the touchline from Maguire in nutmegging him. I thought it was unfortunate nothing came of it, because that was a really great piece of skill. But I thought Javi, under the circumstances, actually played pretty well, and he was keeping the ball really nicely, got us up the pitch a few times. Obviously, look, you're down to 10 men, you're going to have limited time to go forward, and if you pick the wrong option, that's just one more occasion where you have an attack and it goes to begging. So there's going to be frustration with it, but I think he did pretty well yesterday.
He did okay. Like I said, in terms of our forward options, he was our best player that we had out there, for sure. Like he was a lot better than Solanke, a lot better than anyone else that we had in the forward line. But I was just a bit frustrated in those moments, because those moments are going to be few and far between, and you need to make the right decisions. And if you don't, the game's going to pass you by. If you do, you got a chance to do something in the game, and obviously that didn't happen. But yeah, look, I think, look, in my opinion, we were waiting to die for the majority of the second half. The second goal didn't come, and at that point, we're still in the game. We're still massively in the game, and it's just so unfortunate that they score 30 seconds after the changes. And I mean, this has happened so much to us in recent years. I remember this happened weekly under Jose Mourinho. Do you remember, like, every time we were looking like we were in the game, and Jose makes the subs to go for the killer blow, and then 2 seconds later they score, and that's exactly how I felt yesterday.
It would either happen like the sub would be on the touchline and then we'd concede as they're about to come on, or just as they come on, we concede just after. Yeah, it's happened a few times, and that's got to be so frustrating as a manager, because you're just about to influence the game, and then the game state changes just as you're influencing it. And from from that happens, there's like only so much you can do. So from that point, I felt for Frank. But at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, as much as I don't think yesterday was totally on Frank in terms of what happened, we are 2 wins in 16 Premier League games.
Yeah,
that is the fact. And even those 2 wins, we beat Palace, where I don't even think we deserved to win that game. And so it could have easily been 1 win in 16 games. The only 1 win we got, which we fully deserved, was the Brentford game, which we obviously played very well in. So that's 2 wins in 16 games. That's nearly half a season at this point. You're creeping up in a week's time, or 2 weeks' time, it's going to be 18 games, and we might not win those 2.
In our last 10 games, we've won 1 in our last 10, right? 5 of those games have been against teams in the bottom half. Mm-hmm.
Haven't we played the bottom, apart from Wolves? We played probably all the bottom teams.
Played West Ham, Burnley, Palace, Forest, yeah. And there's 1 more in there as well. So, I mean, the form is absolutely dire. We're showing relegation form right now. We're only 6 points above the drop after West Ham's result yesterday. Leeds are on level points with us now. Nottingham Forest, I know they lost against Leeds on the weekend, but they're creeping up as well. Not too many points behind us, and we've got hard games coming up. We've got Newcastle at home Tuesday night, which is a massive game, and then we got a bit of a break, and then we play Arsenal 2 weeks today. Fulham away after that. You know, that's a difficult game. And then we got like a 6-pointer against Crystal Palace. And you're thinking like, we all talked about like relegation battle over the last like couple of months, and it looked like we were in it, and then we stayed clear. We got a few points clear of West Ham. Now West Ham have won 3 of their last 4 games.
I think they've picked up more points in their last 4 than we have in the last 10 or last 16 or something.
Yeah, they have, because they've won 3.
So that's 9 points. And we've now picked up 9 points since October.
How many draws have we got?
So we've only won 2, so that's 6.
Yeah. In 16, that is.
In 16. So have we drawn? Must have drawn at least 3 of them, right?
We drew Man City, we drew Burnley.
So what's our record in the last 16 games? We've since beating Everton. So 1 loss, 2 losses.
We drew against Man U.
3, 4, 5.
Yeah, we've drawn more than enough games to get more points than that. But
6, 7, so 8. So we've lost. So the last 16, we've lost 8. So we've drawn 4. Sorry, lost 2 and drawn 6.
in the last 8.
So the last 16, we've lost 8.
Yeah.
Drawn 6.
Yeah.
And won 2.
Yeah.
So that's 12 points.
Yeah.
So West Ham picked up 9 in their last 4. And we picked up 12 in our last 16.
Yeah.
I mean, there you go.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing where we're at right now. 6 points above the drop. West Ham play Manchester United midweek. I would not be surprised, judging how I saw Man United play yesterday, judging how I saw them play against Fulham. I would be not surprised if West Ham can nick something from that game, even a draw or, horror, even a win. I wouldn't be surprised. So West Ham are like riding a bit of a crest of a wave at the moment. Somerville, ever since been linked to Spurs, has just been in crazy form. 4 goals in his last 4 games or maybe more. And, all fans saying Spurs are not going to go down, Spurs too good to go down. We're not on good enough form to say hand on heart and say we're definitely staying up. We are bang in the midst of a relegation battle right now, and particularly with the games that we have. You're looking at the teams around us; they have shown the ability to pick up more points in the last couple of weeks than Spurs have. They're all showing better size of form. So who's to say that Spurs are too good to be talking about in the midst of a relegation battle? We're not. We're not too good to get dragged into this.
We are dragged into it.
Yeah.
It's beyond that. We are in it. 6 points, people. That's 2 games. 6 points. I don't understand why people are looking at this like, we're still like we're probably not going to go down. Look, I understand likelihood. Even if, let's say, we lose our next 2 and West Ham win our next 2, and there's like a late run in, maybe we can pull it together late on. Maybe we can keep ourselves up in the last day. Maybe we can still save ourselves 100%. I'm not saying we're down already. For sure we're not. And I think we're not the favourites to go down or anything like that. But the 100%, we are right now in a relegation battle. There is no 2 ways about it. West Ham are on an upward trajectory. They're winning games. Leeds on an upward trajectory. They've only lost, 2 of the last 11 or 12 or something. They're winning games at the moment. Nottingham Forest have been there and done it. Even in their last 4 games, they've drawn 2 and won 2. So they're on. They've got some half decent form, although they lost the last game. Crystal Palace, they're in free fall 100% at the moment, but they're definitely down there. But we know if they can pull it together, they can be a good team. They've got a good manager, but 100% they're also in a relegation battle. But when you look at the teams we're competing with, we're probably in the worst form of all of them, apart from maybe Palace. So we are 100%. When it gets to 6 points, you're in the relegation battle.
We've lost to all these teams as well. And apart from Leeds, we've beaten Leeds. We've got them all to play. We've got to play every one of those teams.
Put it this way: how long ago was it where West Ham were like 7, 8, 9 points away from even Forest? It wasn't that long ago.
No.
And we were saying, they're down. I think there was one game they lost to Forest, right? And they were like that. They made the game 8 points. Now it's down to 3. Like that wasn't that long ago. So, you see it firsthand that. Let's say a team was 17th and the team was, and then another team was 18th, right? And there was a 6-point gap there. Would you say that team in 17th is in a relegation battle? Of course you would. Of course they are. The gap isn't that big. The gap is 2 games. We are in the thick of it right now, and people are saying, we just have to win 4 games and we're safe. Well, we've won 2 in the last 16, so we didn't even beat Wolves at home this season. So that's like the easiest game. That's the biggest gimme game you got. Wolves at home. They were on the biggest losing streak at the time, and we couldn't even win that game. So we literally just have to take it game by game at the moment.
Sim, we've lost to 2 teams in the relegation zone at home this season. Well, we've drawn and lost.
Yeah.
That's madness. When you're talking about where we are right now, you know, do you have confidence that we can go to Palace Palace come to us, but even that, like, are we going to beat them? Are we going to beat Wolves? We got to go to Wolves. Wolves have turned it around a little bit. Are we going to go beat them? You know what I mean? We've got every game looks daunting right now for Tottenham Hotspur. That's the issue that we're in right now. And not only that, but our players are dropping like flies.
That's the biggest issue, I think.
And it's just like when you're looking to turn this form around, and as each game increases, numerically we're getting worse and worse and worse. It's just like, how are we supposed to manage this situation? I genuinely don't think we are going to go down, but it is in a very alarming situation. The club in January didn't take this threat of relegation seriously enough when you're looking at the transfer business that we did do. The fans, I don't think for the most part of the season have been taking the threat of relegation seriously, or a large section of the fan base anyway. I've been talking about relegation for the last month. You know, I've been worried about it for the last month, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, don't you worry, Spurs are never going to go down."
I was talking about it.
Yeah, and then I kind of switched on that, didn't I? When we got closer to it. Because when I said you were doom mongering, we widened the gap the week after that to 9 points. And then I asked you, do you still think we're going to go down? And then you agreed with me. And then a week later, we're back down to 6 points. So I did feel like you were doom mongering at that point in time. But then I think it was proven that, you know, we stayed clear of it, and nobody thought, you know, we were going to be in a relegation battle. We thought we'd pick up points. But then since then, our form has been absolutely horrific. So we've forced ourselves back into this kind of relegation scrap that we see that we're in today. So I don't know where these points are coming from. I really don't.
You've just got to take it game by game at this point and try and just keep our head above the drop zone. That's pretty much the only way, because I think when people start looking at it like they are now, like, oh, we've got this team and that team, and maybe we can pick up points there, maybe pick up points there. Look at West Ham, they've got these hard runs, these hard games, maybe they won't pick up the points. I think West Ham are probably going to pick up some expected wins here, because I think when you see that, you saw them against Chelsea go 2-0 up, that showed to me, even though they didn't hold out and win in the end, that showed to me that is a team with confidence at the moment. They've found a formula that maybe is working a bit for them, and they can surprise a few people. And even the fact they went 2-0 up in that game surprised me. And I think that shows maybe they'll pick up some surprise results, because at the end of the day, they are a big team. They are a team that's been Premier League regulars. They know how to get points as a club. They've been there and done that. And I guess you could say the same for us, but I'm talking about just West Ham for a second. They've been in kind of, not this position per se, but they've been in positions where they needed to pick up points before, and so
the reality is Nuno has turned it around.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Nuno has turned it around. They're actually performing well. They're actually scoring goals. They're creating chances. And
then, like I was saying as well, unlike the last season, they're not going to go down without a fight. You think West Ham are just going to go down with a whimper? I understand they've been failing for whatever reason within their club. They're still a big club with obviously they didn't expect to be in a relegation battle this season, but they've got some very good players there. So they're not just going to go quietly into the night, into the championship. They're going to give it their best shot. They're going to probably go on a bit of a run between now and the end of the season. I'm not saying winning every game, but they're going to probably pick up some surprise results. How many times do you see it when a team is down the bottom, and when they're in the relegation battle, they pull out some sort of surprise results? That's why a lot of people say near the end of the season, when you're playing a team in 18th or whatever, that's not a team you want to be facing near the end of the season.
And also, you know, the majority of teams are going to have nothing to play for at that stage of the season. So West Ham can definitely pull up some surprise results. They got Manchester United next, and then they play Bournemouth at home. I would not be surprised if they pick up 4 points over those 2 games.
And they are winning games at the moment. So the thing is, everyone's winning games around us, apart from us and Palace at the moment. We're not winning any games, but everyone else seems to be winning games fairly regularly. You know, within. They don't go more 4 or 5 games without winning. So we've got 2 wins in 16. We are absolutely in the shit at the moment.
We could be below Palace by the end of today.
Absolutely, they get a point and we're below them. So So even though they haven't been winning, they could still be above us. Even though they haven't won in 12 or 13 games, they'll be above us with the draw. So we are in massive trouble right now. This is a bona fide relegation battle. This is not a maybe we're in it. This isn't a but we're still 15th. We're probably fine. This is you are 6 points off the relegation zone and you've won 2 games in the last 16 and you're dropping faster than a skydiver.
Let's look at this, because you want to look at the next fixtures from all the clubs that we're in it with, Spurs, Newcastle at home, Arsenal at home, Fulham away, Palace away, and Liverpool away. So 3 away games there, and 3 difficult ones as well. I know Palace...
better away from home.
Look, Newcastle at home, I think maybe we'll get a point. Newcastle, obviously.
No doggy, no Romero.
It's true.
It's not nothing.
It's most likely a loss. It's most likely a loss, but Newcastle are also playing poorly right now.
Yeah, but at least they can have a full team. Or, I don't know, do they have injuries at the moment?
Gordon will be out and
as long as they've got a midfield.
Yeah, look, Bruno Guimaraes is back.
At the moment, I make them favourites.
They are favourites, 100% they're favourites. Arsenal at home, they're favourites. Fulham away, they're favourites. Liverpool away, they're favourites. Palace away is the only one where you look at that and being like, is it not Palace at home?
Yeah, it's Palace at home.
Yeah, so it's Palace at home. It says here away.
But that's all set up for Johnson to score a winner, isn't it?
That's exactly what I said yesterday. But out of those fixtures, you would say Palace is the only game that we're favourite for. Mm-hmm. You're looking at Palace's games. They've got Burnley. So they got Brighton today away. They got Burnley and Wolves at home the next 2 games after that. Burnley and Wolves at home. Then they got Man United away, then us, and then Leeds at home. So in their next 6, they play Leeds, Wolves, and Burnley all at home. Yeah? Leeds, they've got difficult fixtures. They go Chelsea away, Villa away, Man City at home, Sunderland at home, and Palace away. I can see them picking up at least a win and a draw maybe in that run. But Leeds, they've shown the ability to give anyone a match on their day. Nottingham Forest, they play Wolves at home next, Liverpool at home, Brighton away, Man City away, and Fulham at home. They can easily pick up points against Wolves at home and Fulham at home, and potentially even Brighton away. And West Ham, Man United at home, Bournemouth at home, Liverpool away, Fulham away, and Man City at home. They've got difficult fixtures, but I can see them picking up points in their next 2 games. So out of everyone, I've got least confidence. I think Spurs might actually pick up the least amount of points over the next 5 games out of everyone. Even though some other teams do have difficult fixtures as well.
Yeah, because we're in the absolute shit with the injuries. And that's also a massive issue at the moment, with injuries and suspensions. So we're not only are we in bad form, but we're also tired, probably mentally tired as well, with everything that's going on. We're also not a club that's used to being in this kind of position, whereas maybe some of those other clubs are. So all of that rolled into one massive pile of shit. We are in the shit at the moment, and there's no point looking at games and stuff from our point of view, because we're not winning any games at the moment right now. So in terms of, maybe we can get a point here and there, we can't really predict that right now because we are so unstable as a team. There are no games that are guaranteed wins. We just had a couple of games where you thought one of them, surely we're going to win. West Ham at home, Burnley away. Right, when you look at the fixture list, you look at that and thinking, we'll surely pick up points there. We didn't. We picked up 1 point. We didn't win either of those games. And then we draw with Man City, and so we pick up a point there. So it's so hard to predict in this Premier League. But right now, it's all about just taking it game by game, because we are the form we're on is absolutely atrocious. And as you say, the injury crisis seems to be worsening, not getting better. We're not getting those players back before more players are getting injured, and that's been a major issue. What's our team going to look like in 2 weeks? Let alone on Tuesday, are we going to have more players injured to come that game? And then what are we going to be playing? Right now, we only have 12 or 13 fit players. It's a crazy situation that we've got ourselves in with the injury crisis. And I obviously have a bit of sympathy with Frank with that. But at the end of the day, it's it's we have to deal with it.
We are a Van de Ven injury away from utter implosion in that back line over the next 4 games. If Van de Ven goes down with a hamstring next game, what the hell do we do for the 3 games after that with Romero out as well? Seriously, what do we do if Van de Ven goes down with a hamstring?
We're done.
We've kept him fit all season. You know what I mean? Byfeld, is he we've got one fit fullback in the team right now. I know Spence should be back next game, but I mean, we've heard it all before with these kind of players saying, oh, they're touch and go and we don't see them for ages. So, I mean, we are at literal dire straits, and I don't know what has become of our football club, man. We're talking about relegation battles, and we're not even talking about jokingly. We're talking about it like dead serious. Relegation battle, Tottenham Hotspur. Where 5 years ago we were in the Champions League final. Last year, only very last year, we won the Europa League. You know what I mean? And we're talking about relegation battle.
If you put it this way, if our club wasn't called Tottenham and it was called Brentford, would you say Brentford were in a relegation battle right now? Of course they would be. It's only because we're called Tottenham, we're supposed to be top 6, and we shouldn't be in this position. We got good players, theoretically. Like, people are maybe thinking, yeah, they'll be fine. They're not really in it. We are absolutely in this relegation battle. This is it. This is the relegation battle. We are right there in the thick of it. There's no two ways about it. I don't know how else to put it. Like, people might say this is fear-mongering. People might say you're going over the top. Look at the table. Look at the form. That tells you the story. We are absolutely in that relegation battle. Look, whether we're one of the favourites to go down right now, looking at the other teams, maybe not. Maybe we're not one of the favourites. Maybe with the odds, we're not one of the favourites. Maybe we will save ourselves. Maybe even if we do get closer to relegation battle before we get further away, there will be a moment in the season we do seem to pull away and we save ourselves. But right now, the threat of relegation is absolutely real. This is not pretend. This is not hyperbole. It's completely a realistic possibility right now.
In the last 20 games, we have picked up 19 points. This is 20 games. This is over half a season. West Ham have picked up 20. Forest have picked up 21. Leeds have picked up 22. Crystal Palace have picked up 23. There is only 2 teams on worse forms than us in the last 20 games.
And they're the 19th and 20th team.
And they're Burnley and Wolves, yes. So, I mean, that's 20 games, you know? How much more evidence do we need to say that we're banging trouble right here?
And I see, interview with Vicario yesterday after the game. He was asked, Tottenham in a relegation battle? He goes, it depends how you see things in life. And I was like, well, what are you... I understand, look, maybe he doesn't want to say yes because that gives other connotations. Is that the club admitting that you could go down and is that an embarrassment from a PR point of view? Do they want to kind of give out this confidence like, no, we're going to be fine, like we're not even looking at relegation and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we are absolutely in it. So it also gives off the impression when he says, he doesn't want to answer that question. It kind of gives off the impression, are they actually taking the threat of relegation seriously? Do they actually believe that we could go down, and could that put us in more trouble? Like, are we just going to keep... are we going into every game with this real mentality of we're fighting tooth and nail, scrapping for every single point we can, because right now we need every single point we can because we're banging trouble? Or is it a case of, look, if we lose a game, we can always save ourselves in the next game. We're still looking up. We're not looking down. We're not looking at this relegation scrap. We're not taking seriously that these teams can actually catch up with us. We're Tottenham Hotspur. We'll pick up as the points required. It ain't going to be a problem for us. We'll be fine. Like, is that the mentality at the club right now? And that's a scary thing because we need that fight right now. We need everyone pulling together and scrapping for everything. We need to scrape wins at the moment by hook or by crook. And maybe Frank is the guy to do that because maybe in a relegation battle you just need a manager who can scrape those wins. But he ain't been doing that so far. It's been...
I don't know how we can say Frank's the right manager for it with the form that we're on.
Because the expectations have been different. Now the expectation is just keep us up. And maybe that's gonna that kind of expectation is what he's used to.
I don't know. I'm struggling to think here. I mean, I don't genuinely...
We need a firefighter, do you think?
Do you genuinely think we're going to go down? Because I don't genuinely think we're going to go down. I think there will be... One of these teams will be worse than us. I'm praying. I'm just praying.
Do I think come game week 38 we're going to see 18th? No. Do I think that there might be a one game week between now and game week 38 where we're 18th in the table? That's a possibility. I don't think you can rule that out. You know what I mean? But even if it means, okay, we're 18th in that week and then we win the next week and we're back out or something, that might happen as well. But I wouldn't rule out that there will be a game where we're either 18th or maybe within 3 points of 18th or maybe within a couple points or something like that. Could very possibly happen.
If it gets to that stage and we do drop into 18th, like you say, Does Frank get sacked at that point?
I think if there is one game week where we're in 18th, or even if we spend an hour in 18th or something like that, if he's capable of it being that bad, we might have to roll the dice and sack him and see if an interim just can get a few wins just by letting the shackles off and maybe.
But who can come in and actually do that?
I don't know, but
Big Sam.
Mate, not Big Sam, but someone who could just let the shackles off and maybe with a few games, a bit of freedom, we get a few like easy wins, a 2-0 home win here and there, and somehow get enough wins to save ourselves. I actually don't think it's going to take a lot to save ourselves. But the problem is, even the bare minimum. I'm talking, we probably need a couple, 2 or 3 wins. We might be all right.
Yeah, I think 3 wins keeps us safe.
So that's not too much to ask in the next 13 games.
3 wins from 13 games, but I mean.
But the problem is we're 2 wins in 16. Yeah. So looking at where those wins are coming from right now is like I got no idea. And I think for me, in terms of looking at it in that lens as well, is the wrong way to look at it, because if you're looking at that lens, right, all of a sudden you're like, okay, if we lose the next game, let's say against Newcastle, you're like, okay, we just need 3 wins. We'll win the next game. Just win the next game. You got to take it game by game, because if we lose the next game and West Ham win, then the gap is 3 points. That's what you got to look at. Just look at the gap, look at the teams around you, and look at where you are. Forget, we only need this amount of wins. You just got to take it game by game and look exactly what the gap is, because in 2 weeks' time, it's not that crazy to say we could be level on points with West Ham. Mm-hmm. That's not impossible. That is very real possibility that in 2 weeks' time we could be level on points with them. And at that point, are you saying we only need 3 wins? Probably not.
Thing is as well, like if we are, I'm just looking forward at the fixture. Like, if we are like down in the doldrums of like, let's say Leeds and West Ham, we're 16th, 17th and 18th, and let's say going into the last game, any 3 of us can go down, right? West Ham play Leeds last game of the season.
Wow.
So that means one of them is going to pick up points. If there's a winner in that game, one of them is going to get 3 points. So that puts you in even bigger problems, that that at least one team below you, if we are kind of in a scrap there, will pick up 3 points. That's worrying, man.
This must be. It's definitely the closest we've ever been to relegation zone right now, probably since the 90s. I'm just looking. I remember there was that one season, right? Klinsmann saved us. 98, I think it was. It was 97, 98. I can see we actually did finish. We finished 14th, and we actually finished only 4 points above the relegation zone that season. But how close did we actually? Well, it doesn't give you the game weeks here, so I can't really see how close we actually got at some points. I know we were very really in it. Clearly, if we only finished 4 points, we were very clearly in that relegation battle. So that's probably the closest we've been in the Premier League era, 4 points.
Yeah.
We could easily beat that this season.
Yeah, could easily. I mean, last year we finished 17th. I know we weren't that close like in terms of points. We were just lucky that the bottom 3 teams were just terrible.
I mean, if you offer me 38 points right now, I'm taking it.
Yeah, so am I. But how many points are we on now?
I think, but weren't we only 17th on the final day, or were we always 17th?
We were, I can't remember last year. It doesn't really matter, does it?
I'm just saying we finished that 17th way, but I'm just saying like it wasn't like we were 17th like and just keeping our heads above water. I think we were like mid-table.
No, we knew we were safe for quite a while.
We knew like dropping. Because,
we knew we were safe. Last year we knew we were safe for quite a while.
From February we were safe pretty much. We won those 3 games in a row and that was it. We were pretty much safe.
Yeah. And that's what we kind of need now. We just need to go on that run just to keep us safe. But the longer this form goes on, the more worrying it's going to get, and the closer we're going to get to 18th spot. I just cannot believe that we're sitting here in this situation, genuinely talking about the threat of relegation. Like, I thought those days of the 90s of Klinsmann coming in and saving us were long gone. Like, what has happened?
I think it's a consequence of, first of all, mismanagement of the club, but I also think the league at the moment. It used to be the case, right, where you could, let's say, your team or your club is going through the motions, and you're just like kind of going on week by week. You're directionless, and you're not a very good team. You know a lot of things are problems. You could sort of like do that as a top 6 club, but you'd always be kind of good enough, better than the opposition to kind of just like fumble your way to like an 8th place finish or something, or like a 10th place finish, because you still got better players than the other team. And even though you're kind of you're not really got a direction, you would still have good enough players or just about a good enough team to like get a few wins here and there and keep yourself like in 10th place or whatever. But now, with every team in the Premier League is so well run, really good managers, such good recruitment as well, like such great detail-oriented strategies from the hierarchies, right? You can't get away with that anymore. You can't get away with just going through the motions. You're going to be dropping. The injury crisis as well has really hampered us. So that's obviously, other teams are playing one game a week, a lot fresher, with clear game plans, whereas we've got players, we're dropping players left, right and centre. Physically, we're just way off it, and we don't have our best team ever really at the moment, and we're losing more and more players each week. So every week we're coming out with probably like second 11s, a directionless club going through the motions where not everyone's pulling in the same direction. There's fractions within the club, and you're facing teams who are well drilled, well coached, unbelievable recruitment. So they've got good players, even though they're not big names. They're good players, and if you're off it, even by 1% in this league, you will lose. And that's the fine margins you're dealing with. And we're losing, just like last season, we are losing those margins every single week. Every week those margins are going against us because we're not at our fittest, we're not at our best, and the hierarchy, the football strategy is all over the place. So we don't even when we are our best, we don't have the best profiles to fit each team and each position and all this kind of stuff. And there's major holes in the squad and the strategy is not there. But on top of that, it's compounded by everything else that's going on within the actual playing staff right now, in terms of manager who's probably not so inspiring, and he's not like the most motivational guy. He doesn't have tactics that I don't think the players really buy into or believe in, and he doesn't have a full team to play with on top of that as well. So that's leading to us being where we are right now, which is an absolute in the shit. Like, we are in massive trouble, and I think this is evidence of how strong as well just the rest of the Premier League is if you have any sort of a drop-off, and how ruthless it's become. I don't think it used to be as ruthless as it is now, but now it's extremely cutthroat. You drop even by a couple of percent, and if that carries on even for a couple of months, you will lose games consistently and you will drop, and that is what's happening. And that's why you're seeing teams like Arsenal and Man City, like you look at Arsenal, you're like, look at their squad, and you're thinking they don't need another defender, do they? And then they go and sign Nketiah. You're like, where's he going to play? Why are they even signing him? They've got like 10 defenders. But you know what? You can never have too many. I think that's kind of the rule at the moment. You just can never have too many players right now because of how many games you're playing, how physical and intense the Premier League is at the moment, and how tough these Premier League fixtures really are compared to the Champions League when you're doing it week in, week out. I think we're seeing that the bigger clubs now are erring on the side of, let's just get more players, because we just can't handle when we have any sort of a drop-off. And now we haven't done that, essentially. And we're in this position. Yeah. And like that's what I said before about the club not taking this threat seriously, because if they took this threat seriously, they are playing with our future here. They are playing with our Premier League status here, by the transfer window that we had in January. Only to bring in one player when there were other players available. You could have got a Ryan, you could have got an Ademola Lookman, you could have got an Oscar Bob. We just need bodies right now. That's the reality. I'm sure there were a few loan moves you could have found out there. John Duran was willing to come. Go bring him in. You know, you don't need to send Moani back, but bring him in as well. You know, Moani can fill out on the wings as well, provide cover there. Duran, like there were players out there that we could have brought in. I'm not buying into the narrative that says, it's a hard window to do. There's no one we could have brought in that could have made us better. That is a complete lie and a complete fallacy. They are playing with our futures in the Premier League right now, and this is the worst we've ever been under ENIC. You know, they took us over in 2001. Only a few years before that, we're in a relegation battle. Ever since 2001, we've been in an upward trajectory up until Pochettino left the club. Ever since then, it's been a slow decline until we are now. So until something massively changes, how do you expect things to get better at this football club? You know, they are incompetent the way that they run this football club. They have how can you not take the threat of relegation seriously just because of the name is Tottenham Hotspur? That is the only reason that they didn't take it seriously.
Like, if they were the owners of Burnley right now, they would be taking it seriously. If they're the owners of West Ham right now, because they've been relegated a couple of times over the last 20 years, they'll take it seriously. But because they're the owners of Tottenham Hotspur, they've got this sort of like thing like, oh, Tottenham are never going to go down. Tottenham are never going to get pulled into this shit. We're Tottenham Hotspur. We won the Europa League last season. 5 years ago, we're in the Champions League final.
We heard it, didn't we? Some reports that there are relegation clauses in a lot of the players' contracts, but Spurs aren't worried about that ever happening or something like that.
And, and the reality is they shouldn't be, but we're in this situation now where we have to be.
For me, going into January, seeing what you've been seeing this season and seeing the performances and the results we've been getting, they 100% should have been taking it seriously going into January, because it was a very like real possibility that the way we're going, we could be dragged into it. Now, come the start of the season, of course, you shouldn't be saying, I know we finished 17th, but even we were saying, of course, we're going to improve on that, and we're not going to be that again, or hoping anyway, even if minor improvements, we should be back, minimum challenge for Europe and all this kind of stuff. But going into January, I think we've seen enough to suggest we are in big trouble if we keep playing this way and we stuck the same. Now, they stuck with the manager, where they could have easily got rid of. There was a number of times they could have got rid of him, I think. Now, I don't know what to do with the manager situation. I think it's obviously a major risk sacking him, and then you're putting in an interim or whatever.
It's a major risk keeping him as well.
No, that's my point. You're kind of major risk either way. But if you sack him, then you're relying on new manager, either taking the shackles off and hoping, buying a few wins there, or implementing something else, and that might take time. Even if it's a few weeks to implement, that's still a risk. You could be losing more and more games. But at the moment, Thomas Frank ain't getting the results. It just ain't happening. It's just like, whatever you want to say about maybe slightly better performances right now or whatever, or maybe there's, he's been implementing a way of playing or managers need time, all this kind of stuff. The barefaced facts of the matter is right now, in a relegation battle, the results just aren't coming. And there's no real evidence that results are just around the corner right now. So that's also a major risk, just keeping him in charge and hoping he gets enough results to keep us safe. Because if the next 16 games, or whatever, how many games we've got left, 13, if the next 13 go like the last 16 have gone, which is a bigger sample size, then we very much could be going down. So I don't know. I think they will probably stick, because I think at the moment this board are absolutely scared of making any sort of decision. I think they don't want to be seen, because let's say they sack him and we go down. They're going to look. Don't get me wrong. They deserve the blame, and they're going to get all the blame. Whatever happens this season, the board are going to be in the line of fire for me anyway. But all I'm saying is, if they sack him, and we do end up going down, everyone's going to say like, you should have stuck with him. Oh, it's all your fault for sacking him and getting us relegated. If they stick with him and we go down, the blame will all go on Frank, won't it? Oh, this is the guy who sent us down. But I don't know if they're looking at it like that, to be fair. But I think they're just very scared of making a decision. Right.
Like I said before, I don't think they're taking the threat seriously. Over the next two games, I think
now they should be.
I don't know if they are still, but I would say that over the next two games, if we lose the next two games against Newcastle and Arsenal, and West Ham pick up a minimum of 3 points, which I think they're capable of, or even if they pick up 2 points, they pick up 2 draws against Manchester United and Bournemouth, which they're very well capable of, and then we go in after the next 2 games 4 points above the drop. I don't know. I think they're going to be forced into a change. I think they're going to panic into a change.
Should have happened after West Ham.
Yeah, 100%. That's when that should have been the game. Would be like,
alarm bells are really ringing.
Like, you can't lose to West Ham at home.
We were all saying before that. Obviously, we had some like easy-ish games even before that West Ham game. I think it was like Brentford and Sunderland and whatever it was. It was like some games where we thought we'd probably go on a run and we didn't. And then everyone was saying before that West Ham game, at least we're going to win this one. Like, imagine if we lost to West Ham. Yeah, as if we could lose to West Ham, right? Like, everyone was saying that. And then we actually did lose that game. And then we were like, okay, we lost that game, and then it was like expecting him to be sacked. And then he kind of saved himself a bit against Dortmund. We somehow saved his job. And then we were like, okay, we got Burnley. At least, imagine we don't beat Burnley, right? Obviously, we're going to beat Burnley. Imagine we didn't win. And we actually didn't win that game. We drew. So those are the two results where you're like, we've had the moments, right, where we're now sitting here like saying, yeah, if we don't beat Newcastle, if we don't beat Arsenal, blah, blah, blah. But we've actually had, it's already passed those moments where you're like, can't believe we didn't win. We're surely going to pick up results or something. Those moments have been and gone. Like, now we have entered, I feel we've entered a new phase now of the season. Before it was like, yeah, imagine if that happened. Now we're actually in that imaginary scenario where we're actually in a relegation battle, and we actually did not win those games that we couldn't even fathom were not winnable, and we didn't win them, and now we're here.
Yeah.
So anyone thinking like about anything else other than we just need to survive this season right now, that's it. Like, you can't. I think anyone saying at this point, oh, Europe's only X amount of points away, win a couple of games, you're back up there. Anyone saying that is completely deluded at this point. This is now a battle for survival, 100%.
Absolutely. Which is a clear indication of the sorry state of affairs of this football club, the clear mismanagement of this football club, the culmination of putting plasters over plasters over plasters over gaping wounds.
Just to put in perspective quickly, in terms of that conversation, like, I even heard it. I had a panel show, not to call out Sarah, because I thought Sarah had a brilliant job on the panel show.
Calling her out.
I'm not calling her out. I'm just saying, even she, this is before the game against United, she was saying, the table's so close, you just win a couple of games, and maybe, on the face of it, that could be true. Right now, just to put it in perspective, right, in terms of the gap now between us and Europe, Brentford, currently in 7th, 10 points.
Yeah.
10 points. So that is just gone now. We're a double-digit point gap to 7th place. And that's Brentford, by the way, Frank's old club. So that's the gap now. So in terms of that period of the season where everything was so congested and just a couple of wins, you're back up there, and all you need is a few wins and you're back challenging for Europe. That's gone now. That's out the window.
But the reality is, like, I never, like, obviously the table showed that we were, a couple of weeks ago, we were closer to European football than we were to relegation. But I always felt like we were looking down more than up, looking over our shoulder, moving, looking forward, just because we showed an inability to pick up consistent results or any results.
Don't get me wrong, I completely agree with that. But all I'm saying is, as long as the table was congested, right, and maybe there was some green shoots, we played better at Burnley, Man City, we had a good second half and got a point, blah, blah, blah. All, like, as long as, like, the table's really congested and there were, like, signs of, maybe at some point we could pick up a couple of wins, you could always say, look I know the table's looking bad right now, but we're closer to 7th than we are 18th, and we still could get that European spot, and we still could, just a couple of wins and we could still be there. There was maybe a logical or a theoretical justification for saying, what, as much as it looks bad, there are some green shoots in the latest performances, and maybe a couple of wins, and Europe can still be there. I'm saying that period has now gone. That's finished. It's finito. After this game and after the results that have happened this weekend, and now the gap between us and Europe, we are now in a new phase of this league season, where it's gone from the first 9 games we were actually doing well results-wise, but performances weren't so great. We then drastically dropped off performances, and results have followed, but we were still in and amongst that kind of mix of, if we could get a few wins, we're in Europe. Now we're in a new phase of the season as of this week, where it's relegation battle. No Europe, that's not on the table anymore. There's a 10-point gap. We're now 6 points off the relegation battle, and we're 2 wins in 16. This phase of the season is now survival. That's where we are now.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. I think if we did show an ability to put a run together and show some sort of form from now to the end of the season, I do think Europe could become a question again, but I just can't see that happening. I cannot see that happening.
10 points off anyone.
No, I don't see it. Obviously, I don't see it with the way we've been. I'm just saying, if we were to show form,
even to put a run together, we're not clawing 10 points.
Yeah, because I think everyone's just so inconsistent and losing so many games, and will lose so many games from now until the end of the season. I think if you put a good run together from now until the end, like a good run, and we win more games than we don't, then it's a possibility. But there's no chance we're going to do that. There's no chance.
We'd have to win 4 more games than Brentford win.
Yeah. So I don't see it being a big
out of 13.
Yeah, I don't see it being impossible. It's possible.
I mean, I'm struggling to see 4 wins, let alone 4 more wins.
I agree with that. I'm saying I don't think it's going to happen, and I don't think we're going to put the right amount of wins. I'm just saying, if we were to go on that run.
But I'm saying, okay, let's say we go on a run, yeah? Let's say Brentford in the next 13 games win 3.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say a bad end to the season, they only win 3 of the next 13. We'd have to win 7 games in the next 13.
That's what I'm saying.
That's like impressive form.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm saying if we put impressive form in from now to the end of the season, I think we could do it, but I don't think we will. There's no chance we are going to put that form together. That's all I'm saying. I don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here saying Europe's still on.
Let's say how many wins do you think we need to get Europe? You would think
out of 13 games.
Let's say if we were to put this theoretical run together, out of these 13 games, how many wins would we need to snatch that 7th spot?
Probably about 10.
So 10 out of 13.
Yeah.
That's title winning form.
Yeah.
That's not even like top 4.
No, I think you need better than that for title winning. To be honest,
I'm saying winning 10 out of 13.
I think it's Champions League form. Yeah.
That's not Champions League form. That's title winning form. Champions League form is like winning half and drawing a few and then losing a few.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm not saying it's possible. I'm just saying if we were to do that run.
When I think about putting a run together, I think just like maybe Champions League kind of form, 2 points a game kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of for us putting a run together right now. Like, to think we would win 10 out of the next 13.
You're getting this completely wrong. I'm not thinking that we're going to do that.
But I'm saying, but you're saying if we were to do that, that's like a bit like saying if we won every single game, we would get in Europe. Okay, fine, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to win 10 of the next 13. Like, in terms of a realistic total we could get to maybe snatch that European spot. So 10 wins, that'll give us 30 points. That'll put us on 59.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that should be enough for 7th, I would say, if we go on 59 points.
But anyway, it's not going to happen, and we're looking firmly over our shoulders, and it's sickening. It's absolutely sickening, the state of this football club and where we're at right now and how far we've actually fallen in the last 5 years. It's just absolutely sickening, and I can't believe we're sitting here genuinely talking about the threat of relegation, and it's. And look, there'll still be some fans watching this being like, oh, you guys are just jokers. There is no chance we're going to get relegated. There's no chance we're in the mix for that. Well, you just look at the table. You just look at the fixtures that we got, and you just look at our last 20 fixtures and who's picked up more points than us in the Premier League in the last 20 games. And that will give you your answer of where we're at.
And as much as, I like Dange, we did finish 17th last season on top of that. So, that is just true. And look at the form we're in now. As I say, you change the name of the club right now, and anyone would be saying that team is in a relegation battle. That's the truth.
We're banging it. There's no two ways
about
it. We're bang in it. We're bang in it. And it's sickening.
The conversation at the away end on the way back yesterday was just about what's going to be a category A next season when we're in the Championship.
I don't think they're not. Surely they're not as shameless to put Category A games in the Championship.
With all the discussion was, we were like, do you reckon they'll put the season ticket prices up because there's going to be more games? Oh god, that was the conversation.
Genuinely though, if we were to go down, what do you think they do with the ticket prices?
You have to slash them, surely.
Slash them to what?
I don't know.
Let's say our season ticket now is £1,200. Like, what do you reckon it is in the Championship?
Maybe £1,000, maybe? No, I don't know.
Only a £200 discount?
Probably. Because there is still more games. There's 4 more games, isn't there?
If it is only a £200 discount, I swear, that would be ridiculous. Like, what are season ticket prices in the Championship? Let's have a look.
These are the conversations we're having. What are season ticket prices in the Championship?
Here we go. So Middlesbrough, I think, have the most expensive, and that's £620.
They're the most expensive.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe 900 for us. We're gonna be the most expensive.
£700 is the max it should be. Let's be honest. £750 for a. Come on, the amount of grovelling that this club need to do if we actually get relegated. Like, they should be giving tickets away for free.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like, to get relegated the season after winning the Europa League. Like, oh my God. They should be giving away free tickets, mate. Like, seriously. Like, the stadiums are going to be empty. They can't even fill out the ground now in the Premier League and the Champions League. How are they going to fill it out in the Championship? They're going to need to give out free tickets.
They should. They should give everyone a free season ticket next season.
Yeah.
And give pay it off with some more Beyonce concerts.
Jesus. Beyonce will be embarrassed to play at Tottenham.
She's like, what? Championship? I ain't stepping foot in that.
You know
Beneath me.
We'll have to, once we get relegated, they're not going to get Beyonce. They're not going to get the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're not going to get Rolling Stones. They're going to get all the imitation bands. They're going to get all the knockoffs, like the Rolling, whatever they're called, like the tribute bands. That's who's going to play at Tottenham Stadium.
Another consequence as well of this is the fact that obviously somehow, incredibly, we are still in the Champions League. So the problem now we have is, come when those games come around, because of the shit we're in, we kind of have to prioritise the Premier League games, won't we?
Yeah, I guess.
Depending if we can get a few wins between now and when the round of 16 comes around.
Look, we just need 3 more wins, people. Can we please just get 3 wins?
But we can't do what we did last season, which was purposefully just play a second string team in the Prem, so we can just go all out.
Are we going to have enough players to be able to do that?
I think come March, come April, if we're still in the Champions League, we would. But
we need to get through the March fixture first.
Have to get through the March ones first, yeah. But we can't. I'm saying last season we were just like, look, we're safe. Let's just go all out for Europa, because that's where our season really is. Now we're not safe, so we can't, I don't know if we can afford to do it like we did.
I don't know. Well, let's hope we have options. If we go into a game with the same amount of players that we had yesterday, and by the way, the next game is less players than we had yesterday, like, we're gonna have a bench full of kids anyway. Like, what are we supposed to do?
Don't know. Get the kids involved.
You know what I mean? It's just like the sheer lunacy of not bringing in enough players in January is just crazy.
We just rolled the dice, didn't we? That's what we did. We rolled the dice. As Van said last January, we were playing with fire by not bringing anyone in.
And this is worse than it was last year. You know, I said yesterday,
we brought a couple in last year.
Up until yesterday, I felt like the injury crisis was always worse last year, because at least this year we've had at least like one player in each position where we've been able to play them. We've had Romero and Van der Ven. But now, from this point, looking forward, it seems to be getting back into that territory of the injury. I know numerically we've got probably similar amount of players out over the last couple of weeks than we've had under Ange, but in terms of where we had the injuries and the personnel that was out, it was worse last year.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to get back to those territories.
Yeah, 100%, because we got only one fit proper centre back, and another centre back who's the other centre back's fit, who's fit just came back from an ACL. We've got no fit fullbacks, first choice. We got no real first choice wingers available. So we have serious problems. Obviously, last season it was crazy as well, but I think right now, this very moment, it's probably worse than last year. But I think we were dealing with this from like December up until like February last year, like in that period. I think now we've had the injury's bad, but it's only got like as bad as last year, probably in the last few weeks.
Yeah, and that's why I don't give Frank too much grace over the injury period, because it was shocking, absolutely shocking before the injuries came in.
Yeah, Chelsea, we had a pretty much full team out, didn't we?
Yeah.
And that was one of the worst.
We went
games.
to the Emirates with like a full team.
Yeah, that
got
was
absolutely dicked
terrible.
on 4-1.
Wolves, we probably had a full team out for Wolves at home. We lost that. We drew that game. We should have lost. So we were already playing awfully before the injuries, but it's just compounded now.
Yeah. So there you have it. The threat of relegation is serious. It really is serious. We're in dire straits. We need points quickly. And now, you've been going on about all season, you want to see performances over points. It's got to be no matter. Like that, that's now. Gone now. That's gone.
Survival.
We just need points on the board. Doesn't matter how they come. Just get points on the board. Well, that's that. Let's get into our player ratings from yesterday. Manchester United 2, Tottenham 0. We're going to start off with Vicario. 8's all round for Vicario. You guys have given him a 6.8. That seems pretty low to me, because I thought Vicario was our best player. He kept the score respectable at times in that second half. He pulled up one unbelievable save from a header with fingertips over the crossbar. Yeah, Casemiro. And look, Vicario, there was one dodgy kick out there, wasn't it? I was thinking, oh my God, what's going on here? But apart from that, I thought he did really well yesterday.
Yeah, made some really good saves, kept the scoreline low, especially in the second half where they were reining in some of the shots. And I think he made 8 saves in all yesterday. So I actually think he had a pretty good game. Although first goal, I think the ball did very slowly go past him. So a bit of frustration there, but probably a bit more frustration with defenders. Second goal, he does get a hand to it, but it is close range and it's a pretty decent effort. So can't criticise him too much. I think Vicario was probably our best player yesterday overall.
Yeah, next up we have got Archie Grace. I gave him a 6, you gave him a 5, 5.3 from you guys out there. So at fullback, I think he did fairly well. I thought he got caught out of position for one of the goals, but with Archie Gray, I actually thought he put in such an effort in the game. He was consistently providing us with a lot of interceptions and hard work rate. Didn't get forward too much because obviously what happened in the game happened, but yeah, I don't think he was terrible. I don't think he was great. Decent performance.
Yeah, I think probably struggled in this game more than he did against Man City. Playing a right back, okay, I think he was all right, but then we went down to 10 men. I think he was stretched a bit. I didn't think he was that impressive. I think he struggled in possession, kept kind of running down blind alleys instead of releasing the ball quickly. There was one little period during the second half where I thought he's starting to play a bit better, play the ball quicker, but it didn't last too long. So, yeah, struggled a bit at right back, I thought.
Next up, we're going to go to Kuti Romero. 2s all round for Kuti. You guys gave him a 1.5. Look, it was the moment that completely changed the game. Goes in on Casemiro, studs in the ankle, sent off, rightly so, out for 4 games, holds a record now for most sending offs in the Premier League, 6 altogether for Spurs, 4 in the Premier League. It's just something that keeps happening, and unfortunately, and look, I thought he was doing okay in the early stages of the game. He got given a foul against him, which was never a foul. He clearly won the ball, and he was defending proactively, and he was actually a key part of Spurs' play in the opening half an hour. But you can't do what he did, and he put us massively in the lurch. We're going to have to deal with him without 4 games now, and it's gutting. It's absolutely gutting.
Yeah, it cost us yesterday. No two ways about it. Really let us down with the red card. I think looking at how the challenge went, it wasn't a malicious one, but at the end of the day, he goes in strong with trying to clear the ball. Casemiro gets there ahead of him, and with that, the foot was slightly too high. Casemiro's ankle rolls, and he's leaving himself open to that risk. And the red card comes out. He can have very little complaints. He's really cost us, not just yesterday, but also in the season now. We'll have to wait and see kind of what the real consequences of that. And I think there are some suggestions, are we better off without Romero? Like, maybe it's better. He's blessing in disguise. I don't think it's that at all. We're desperate for him. We need his leadership. I think we need his quality on the pitch. And he's prevented us from having that for the next 4 games now. So I think the defeat really, he has to land at his feet because we were playing okay before that, and after that it just completely changed the game. So he did cost us massively. Yeah,
too many times this season he's shown that liability edge to his game. 7 games out suspended this season already, which potential to be more as well if he picks up a couple more bookings this season. So Romero needs to get better. He needs to get better quick in that aspect. Next up, who we're going to go to, Mickey van der Ven. You guys gave him a 5.9. Sim gave him a 6. I gave him a 5. I thought he just looked increasingly frustrated as the game wore on. The more and more I see him play, the more I see his demeanour on the pitch. It's just getting worse and worse. And look, I don't think he put in a bad performance, but there were a couple of times where it looked like he was chasing shadows a little bit. He had one little marauding run forward in the second half where he got a free kick on the edge of the box. But I don't think it was a great performance from him.
Yeah, it says a lot when that was like one of our better moments, wasn't it? We have Van der Ven running the whole pitch again, just hoping he can do it himself. Every time he got the ball, it was like, just go and run.
That's what I was saying.
Literally, that's all we got. That's our best chance. I actually think he had a pretty decent game, but I think the circumstances just led to it was always going to be very difficult for him to have a great game. And obviously United had a lot of the ball. And apart from that marauding run, we didn't see too much other than that. But I thought he was decent. I thought he didn't really do too much wrong.
Next up is Destiny Udogi, I think. 5s all round. You guys giving him a 5.2. Goes off injured in this game, which is absolutely gutting. The guy just can't stay fit.
What I didn't really see on when we were at the game? Did they say anything
Just
about
looked like he pulled up. It looked like a muscular injury
Did you see
or something.
a replay of it?
Haven't seen a replay.
Didn't show on screen.
No, it just seemed like he just pulled up. But yeah, I don't think it was contact or anything like that. Yeah, it's gutting because, you know, he's come in and done really well for us since coming back from injury. But this is something that just keeps happening with Destiny. Injury after injury after injury. And yeah, even in the game, like, he wasn't as strong as he has been in previous games. He wasn't able to get forward as much. Obviously, we were down to 10 men for the large portion of it. And look, defensively, he did okay. But yeah, just a bit of a meh performance from a doggy.
Yeah, I feel like since he's come back from injury, there's been a bit of a reluctance from him to really go full pelt because of maybe they're worried about his hamstrings going again. And there's been that kind of concern. And we've even heard Frank say in his press conference, haven't we? Like, I think it was when we played Dortmund, he was like, oh, I saw Destiny like running forward. I was like, I was telling him, calm down, Destiny, calm down. So maybe there's been that kind of instruction now. Once we went down to 10 men, that obviously requires that little bit extra effort, doesn't it, from everyone else on the pitch to kind of make up for it. And was Destiny a casualty of that element of it? I did feel like he was running down a lot of blind alleys, and I think obviously Xavi was playing on the left once we went down for most of the game, wasn't he? And because he's running inside, that leaves Destiny with that whole half to kind of manage, and it was very difficult for him to do that, and without getting outnumbered a lot of the time. I didn't see what actually happened with the injury, but the reality is now, I think, who was it? I think Daigle called in and said it, like, our only fit fullback was our most injury-prone one, and now he's gone down injured. Is that a massive surprise? Same with Richarlison at points. He was our only fit striker, and he was our most injury-prone one, and now he's went down injured. And the worrying thing is, Van der Ven has been on one of our most injury-prone centre-backs. He's our only fit centre-back. So is that going to happen at some point? These are all very scary possibilities. But, yeah, Doggy, there's been a conversation, hasn't there? He just can't stay fit. We can't trust him to stay fit. That's why there was a big emphasis in the window. Can we get a left-back in? Obviously, Sousa came on. We'll talk about him in a bit. But can we trust Sousa to fill in with a Doggy long-term? Because a Doggy just can't stay fit. And now, was this the first game after the window or second? First game since the window closed, isn't it?
Is it?
Yeah, City, there was a window
Yeah,
closed.
you're right, yeah.
So the first, just like, well, what happened with Kudus?
Clockwork, mate.
First day after Johnson sells, Kudus goes down. The first day after the window closes, a Doggy goes down. That's just how it happens with this football club. It's just like clockwork. We seem to just like ruthlessly get punished for our mistakes in the window, like every time.
Yeah.
And it's happened again.
Absolutely. All right, next up is Conor Gallagher. I gave him a 6. You gave him a 5. You guys have given him a 5.5. I thought he was full of running, full of endeavour. I thought he, a couple of chances fell his way. I thought he was always in space as well. Wasn't found on a lot of the occasions. I liked his display yesterday, to be honest. He always showed fight for the cause. Won quite a number of fouls as well. Always combative in the middle. I thought he gave a lot of effort and energy into the game, but yeah, it was little quality though.
Yeah, I think he started quite well, and I could see kind of what he was trying to do, those late runs in the box and kind of pressing from the front, and it was like decent in the opening exchanges, but obviously once he went down to 10 men, it was very difficult for him. I think he was getting overrun. He was a bit anonymous once we went down to 10 men, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see how moving forward, him in the 10, how that kind of works out. I don't know if I enjoy it more than maybe Xavi there, but it's going to be an interesting dynamic potentially with Xavi off the left. But then again, now we don't have a left back. No one's going to create the width there. I don't know. It's a difficult situation. But yeah, Gallagher started off well, but unfortunately the red card changed his game, I felt.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Up next, we have got João Palhinha, 6s all round, 5.8 from you guys. Yeah, I thought does what it says on the tin with João Palhinha. So many kind of industrious tackles in there. Just providing us with a bit of fighting spirit in the middle of the park. And I thought he does this every game. I think he stands above the rest in most games in recent weeks. And this one was no different. I thought he was very combative. Obviously, on the ball, didn't show much. But off the ball, he provided so much for us.
Yeah, he's obviously so good at that, just making sure we're not overrun. It was a difficult game for him again once we went down to 10 men, but he kind of was a big element of just making sure we were containing United as much as we could, and off the ball, just marshalling the team, some really good tackles. I thought we put in a pretty decent display, nothing too spectacular, but yeah, I thought it was decent.
Next up is Pat Matissar, 5.5 from you, 6s from us. I actually felt in the first half an hour when it was 11v11, he was probably one of our best players on the pitch. You know, he was getting the ball, he was driving forward with it. He looked like, you know, he's actually been on form since he's come back from the AFCON. And I thought the opening half an hour was more examples of that. But once we went down to 10, look, he kept up his running, but he wasn't able to impact the game as much as he was in the opening half an hour.
Yeah, I feel like recently he's been finding those little pockets of spaces to drive into and confidently doing it more than he was before, like the AFCON, where he seemed a bit hesitant to do that. And I think his passing's been a bit crisp, albeit I think he did play one straight out play, didn't he, when we were on the attack, which was quite frustrating. But I thought it was a decent display again from Pape. As you say, started well. There was in one moment as well, I think, I can't remember who played. I think maybe Van der Ven plays it down the line for him, and he was on the wing and he tried to break forward and was looking dangerous, but nothing came of it. Pretty decent display again hampered again with the sending off.
Next up, we have got Wilson Odobert, 4.4 for you guys, 5 from us. I mean, yeah, he didn't really have a threat in the opening half an hour. He was only on for half an hour, obviously. He was the full guy for the sending off. But yeah, I mean, he didn't really have much impact on the game, to be honest.
Yeah, started okay-ish, but didn't really do much. Was mostly anonymous and then got taken off. Maybe Frank thought taking him off because out of the front three, who's the least likely to like tactically be able to like keep up, like chasing your men and making sure defensively solid. Maybe he thinks Xavi and Solanke are better fit for it, but obviously it completely made us a non-entity going forward, and we had no pace to exploit any space, and it cost us.
Yep. Next up, we have got Dominic Solanke, 5s all round from us, 4.8 from you, and I think with Solanke, I mean, he was working tirelessly hard trying to get stuff, but look, the reality is we kept trying to boot balls up to him, and Maguire had ate him up for dinner pretty much for the majority of the game, and yeah, it was just a really hard afternoon for Solanke.
Yeah, difficult, pretty much up front by himself. There was one little, maybe half moment, wasn't there, when we had a long throw. It looked like maybe he could get on the end of one of their... it was a bit of chaos in the box, wasn't there? And he nearly tried to stick out a leg and get a poker shot towards goal, but just couldn't quite do it. There was also another moment, I think, the ball comes in and he kind of flicks the ball over a defender, doesn't he, in the box? And again, nothing quite came of it. But a difficult day for him, especially 10 men, so isolated. He did a job for the team, but unfortunately it just wasn't really enough.
Yeah. All right, next up is Javi Simmons. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. You guys have given him a 5.8. I don't think it was anywhere near as strong as his previous displays where I've, given him rave reviews. I did think he was probably if anything was going to happen, it was going to come from him. And look, he was looking the most creative out of the bunch, but still didn't look too creative. And look, I just felt a bit frustrated with Javi because there was a few moments where we found our way into the Manchester United half, and I just felt like he chose the wrong option, or the pass wasn't good enough at times. So, yeah, a bit frustrating.
I thought he was our best outfield player, and I thought...
Doesn't say much, though, does it?
No, but I still think it's true, and I think if under the circumstances, given the player he is, he's not a player who's going to break on the counter with devastating pace. He's kind of a player who obviously keeps the ball, looks to bring other players into play, looks for quick interchanges. And I thought he was actually playing the ball a lot quicker than he has. Like, I'm not maybe in the last few weeks, but like before that, you can clearly see a difference in him getting used to the game. I think he had a decent effort from 25 yards. He had a nice trick on the touchline up against Maguire, which nearly came with something. He had a few nice moments as well in the transition. I thought defensively he did quite well as well. I was quite impressed with his work rate. So I thought he did the best he could. Under the circumstances are very difficult, especially given the game state. Like, he's one of the attackers, very isolated, expected to do something, and he's just not that kind of player who, if it's just 1 against 3, it's good. He can breeze past players. It's very difficult for him. But I thought under the circumstances, he did all right.
All right. Substitutes Radu Dragusin. I gave him a 6. You gave him a 5. 5.2 from you guys. Yeah, I thought Radu did okay. Backs against the wall job for the majority of it, and I think he came out with it with a little bit of credit.
Yeah, did fine. Didn't get exposed too much. Wasn't so great on the ball, but never is, and also wasn't a game that lends to that anyway. So he did fine. Didn't really do too much wrong, but nothing special.
Next up, so all these subs happen with 10 minutes to go. Yves Bissouma, 5s all round for Yves. You gave him a 4.3. He just couldn't have any impact in the game, is the reality. We brought him on, and within 20 seconds, we've conceded the goal and the game's done. Yeah. So, is what it is.
Don't want to really criticise him too much. I don't even remember anything he did. I think after that goal, my head was just gone. I think at that point, I don't remember too much of what actually happened in the game at 2-0. But yeah, it's a shame for him.
Who's next? Next is Matisse Tell again. He comes on 20 seconds later. We've conceded. Didn't have any impact in the game. 5.5.
Yeah, he had a couple of moments where he just tried to do everything by himself, didn't he? He had a couple of shots blocked, and that was really it. Clearly came on with trying to impact the game, but struggled to do so.
Yeah. And last but not least is Souza. 6 all round for Souza. You guys are giving a 6.1 as well. Obviously, everyone was happy to see him on the pitch. And he showed a bit of endeavour. He was getting the ball and trying to drive the team forward at times down that left-hand flank. Defensively, looked like a bit of a mistake waiting to happen at some point where he got absolutely skinned alive at one point. But look, we're going to have to see more of him in the next couple of weeks, and let's see what happens. But yeah, attacking, he looks like he could be a threat, but defensively, I'm not so sure.
It's tough to really analyse. I think we were so dead on our feet. Just having someone come on and show a bit of energy was like a breath of fresh air. And just that alone, him actually just running into space, was enough to get everyone excited, let alone him actually doing anything. But yeah, he looked all right. He looked a bit handy. There was one point where he gets to the left, puts in a bit of a cross, but easily cut out. At least he was able to take on his man a bit and get into the space, whereas beforehand we just weren't able to do that. So that was all right. But yeah, defensively, probably a lot to learn, isn't it? It's hard to really judge because we're down to 10 men, so you can't really judge him harshly. But as well, because we were just so in need of something, like him just running into space seemed to be something to praise. So
he did beat a couple of men as well, so I give him credit for that. But look, the game was done. It was like throwing him to the wolves a little bit. A 19-year-old Brazilian making his first game in England with 10 men, 2-0 down. So is what it is, isn't it? Last but not least, we've got Thomas Frank. I'm going to give him a 4. I think that with Thomas Frank, I think it was the right decision with the starting lineup and going to a back 4, and I think we competed really well for the opening half an hour. He can't account for what Cuti Romero did to leave the team in the lurch when he did it after half an hour. But I felt the decision to take off Odobert really worked against us, and I was saying at the time, there was no need to make a change at all. Just drop Paulinho back into the defence and leave Odobert there, a willing runner that can potentially hurt Manchester United on the break. And then no changes up until the 80th minute, which I thought was a strange one. And look, I get the reason why he did it, because we were still in the game, and bring on your attacking players with 10 minutes to go and try get yourselves back in the game with a late flurry. But I just felt like we needed changes before that, and I felt like he left it a bit too late.
Yeah, I gave him a 4 as well. Look, I don't think the loss was really on him per se. I think that when you go down to 10 men so early, it's very, very difficult, and there's only so much you can do. There's so different directions you can go in, and he went in the direction of keep it tight at 1-0 up until the last 10 minutes and try and get back in the game and try and just have a bit of a go at that point. Unfortunately for him, we literally conceded on 78, so that throws the game plan out the window. So we won't have known what would have happened if United hadn't scored at that moment, as soon as we brought on a few players. So I feel for him, but at the end of the day, he made some poor choices as well. I thought, as I agree with you, Odobert off at that point just completely killed us in a sense that we had no threat when United could just pen us in, and it was kind of made it easy for them. And yeah, it's tough to divorce this result from the bigger picture as well, given that we are now 2 wins in 16.
Yeah. All right, well, that is our player ratings. Let us know yours in the comments section below as we'll move on to the final segment of the stream where we'll take a look back at how the internet has been reacting to the 2-0 loss against Manchester United. And first up is an account called Frank Era. And this one says, Michael Carrick was unemployed and interviewing Thomas Frank for Amazon Prime at the beginning of the season. Fast forward 6 months and he's beaten him 2-0 as Manchester United manager. Football is the craziest sport in the world.
Ah, God. From pundit to beating Frank in just 6 months. How time flies.
Mad, isn't it? A sacked Middlesbrough manager and now he's 4 wins in a row in the Premier League.
Do you reckon if we turned around and offered Carrick the full-time position at Tottenham right now, he would take it?
No.
Leave United and come full-time at Tottenham? Wouldn't take it?
No, I don't think so. I think he's got his eye on the Man U job.
Well, for the United tell him it's only interim. You're not getting the full-time.
If United tell him you're definitely not getting the job, there is no chance of it, then yeah, there's a possibility. But I don't think United will turn around and tell him that right now.
Would you test the waters? Try and get Carrick in?
What, right now? I mean, I wouldn't be against it right now. we're in desperate need.
God. Yeah, showing what you can do. Even if you just win 4 games.
Yeah, that's all we need. Spurs Global saying, here's a look at the next 5 fixtures for the teams in the relegation battle. And this is what I was talking about before. So Spurs, Newcastle home, Arsenal home, Fulham away, Palace away. And the last one there is Liverpool away, which you can't see. But out of those games, what's your score? How many points are you predicting?
Right now, I'm going to say loss, 2 points. 2 draws to Fulham and Palace,
I think.
And then the rest.
I think we lose Arsenal for sure. We lose Fulham for sure. We lose Liverpool for sure. It's just about Newcastle at home and Palace at home. That says Palace away, but it's Palace at home. How many points can we get? I mean, Newcastle are horrendous at the moment. I think 2 points. Maybe 4.
I think we're more likely to go to Fulham and get a point than Newcastle, in my opinion.
I disagree. I think we're more likely to get a point against Newcastle than we are at Fulham away. Fulham are such a good home team.
Yeah, but I feel like we're more likely to actually get a draw there because I think they'll more likely settle for a draw, whereas Newcastle more likely beat us. So they'll try and win.
Newcastle will try and win, which might play into our hands a little bit.
Not with the injuries we have.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, 100 true. I don't think we're going to win either of them. I just think we're more likely to beat Newcastle than we are Fulham. But look, the margins are not big between them, let's be honest. In terms of Palace, how many points do you reckon they're getting? Burnley at home, Wolves at home, Man United away, Tottenham at home and Leeds at home. Tottenham away.
I reckon out of Burnley and Wolves, they probably get at least 3.
I reckon 4 points from those 2.
Maybe 4. Probably lose to United, probably get a draw at us, and probably draw with Leeds. So 6 points.
Yep. So judging by our predictions, they'll be well above us by the end of this 5 games. Leeds, Chelsea away, Villa away, City at home, Sunderland at home, and Palace away. So you said 1 point for the Palace game.
1 point. I reckon they beat Sunderland. I reckon potentially a draw away at Villa. But other than that, I think they probably lose to Chelsea and City.
Yeah.
So I'm saying 1, 3, 4 points.
Yep, so they'll be above us. I agree with the assessment. Forest, they'll probably beat Wolves. I think they lose to Liverpool.
Well, they beat Liverpool at Anfield 3-0.
I know, but I think Liverpool beat them.
I reckon out of Liverpool and Brighton, they probably pick up at least a point.
Yeah, I think they could get a point at Brighton away. City away, they probably lose, and Fulham at home, they could win that. They could beat Fulham at home.
Also 5 points? No, 6, 7 points.
Yeah, so they'll be above us. West Ham. Man United at home, Bournemouth at home, Liverpool away, Fulham away, Man City at home.
So it is difficult. I reckon
4 points.
I reckon they beat Bournemouth. I reckon they could get a point at United,
Yeah.
And I reckon they could also get a point at Fulham.
I reckon they lose Liverpool, Fulham and City, but I reckon they could get 4 points over the next 2.
I don't think they lose all 3 of those. I think Fulham. I reckon they can get something at Fulham.
Yeah, maybe.
I would say, I reckon 5 points.
5 points. So how many points would that leave us above the relegation zone with our
3.
predictions? 3. Wow.
After the next 5 games. If we only get 2 and they get 5, that'll leave us 3 points or 4.
So with our predictions, that leaves us after the next 5 games, 17th, 3 points above the drop.
It's very realistic.
Wow. Wow.
Well, I think West Ham are more likely to win away at Fulham than we are, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. All right, this is a quote from Frank yesterday. Frank, if you look at his career, Romero hasn't had many red cards. The reporter goes, he's had the most red cards for Spurs. And he says, yeah, but not in the Premier League. And then the reporter goes, yes, he's had the most for the club. And Frank goes, oh, I didn't know that.
Thought he was a stats guy.
He doesn't do himself much favours.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit of a faux pas there by Thomas Frank. I guess from his point of view, he's thinking before yesterday, he'd all had 3 Premier League red cards.
Yeah.
Like since he's come to the club, so it's not like crazy amount. Then yesterday, 4th one, and now it's the most for Tottenham in the Premier League. And so now he looks stupid. But
yeah, it's not just. I mean, it's 6 since he's come to the club. That is a lot, man. That is a lot. Remember, the other one was against AC Milan. Who was the other one against?
He had one against Vitesse.
Vitesse, yeah. Jay says, effing disgrace this. And this is Romero's red card. So Vitesse, Man City, Milan, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man U. It's always big games. Look at that.
It's true, actually. Or big teams.
Yeah.
City. So he's just missing Arsenal, and then he's got all the big 6.
Yeah. Not going to get that this season.
No, not going to do it this season. Yeah, but if you look at it, it's a weird one, isn't it? Like, obviously, 2023, he had 3 red cards in that year. Then he went over 2 years without a red card. Yeah. And now he's got 2 in quick succession.
Yeah.
I think that narrative as well definitely plays when it comes to Romero is in terms of, he's a liability, just red card waiting to happen, when in February 23, March 23, so 2 red cards within 2 months. And same here, December 25 to Feb, so 2 red cards within 3 months. So then obviously it's fresh in the mind, these red cards happen in quick succession. I think that obviously doesn't help him.
It doesn't help him in these games, are like the memorable games, you know, the games against the big 6, you know what I mean?
It's a weird one. Either there's an absolute great game or he gets sent off.
That was his first away red card for us.
Oh yeah, look at that.
All of them are at home. Cassandra says that's never a red card. Romero's most unfairly refereed player in the world. He has the ball, being fouled, fights through it, makes contact while kicking the ball, sent off. Absolutely comical. The game is gone. And I agree that he is an unfairly ref player. I do agree with that. And I think that the challenge that he made in the opening 10, 15 minutes in the game was evidence of that, because he got the ball and the free kick was given against him. And I think that happens a lot with Romero. He does win the ball quite a bit and gets penalised for it. However, I don't think that was the case for this red card. I think it was a red card, and I think he only has himself to blame.
It's true, though, he was being fouled before that, wasn't he? And he waved play on, and then he ended up obviously getting sent off with that challenge. I wouldn't say it was never a red card. I don't think that's true. I think he definitely gave the referee a decision to make, and I don't think it was a wrong decision given the challenge. I do think it was unfortunate how it all unfolded. Like, I don't think it was malicious or anything. He did kick the ball and then followed through, and it landed on his ankle. But at the end of the day, you got to be aware of the details. I feel like Romero sometimes can just be reckless in the terms of I'm just making this challenge. It's going to be a strong challenge, and whatever the outcome is, the outcome is. And the outcome on this occasion was he landed on someone's ankle, and he's got to think a bit smarter than that. Yeah. If he just like kicked the ball and didn't follow through as much, which is possible, he probably doesn't end up getting sent off. Yeah. 17 Coy says Romero plays well, Frank's job is saved. Romero plays bad, Frank's job is saved. Romero scores, Frank's job is saved. Romero red card now, and Frank's job is saved again. It's a weird one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is Frank so closely tied to Romero?
I think maybe just the lesson to learn from this is that Frank's job is safe.
Always safe. Yeah, always safe.
1882 Spurs that saying today is all on Romero. We were playing quite well before the sending off as usual. A Brazilian Romero goes after. That's so true. He always seems to go after Brazilians.
Yeah, where Richarlison or Bruno, I feel he goes after him as well.
Yeah.
Now Casemiro.
That's it from me. I want Romero out in the summer. Good defender, but absolute liability. And look, you might get your wish regardless anyway.
Yeah, look, as I say, I don't agree with that narrative that he's just a white liability and all that. And I understand these things happen, right? What's happening right now, and definitely the narrative is strong because he's picked up a red card not so long ago. He's obviously been speaking out on the board, so a lot of the conversations about him, the eye is on him at the moment because of the current situation with him calling out the board. So the focus is on him. He's kind of asking for it, that attention. So anything that goes wrong, he's going to get people who disagreed with him calling out the board, doubling down and saying, and look at now, he's not even a good player as well, and all that kind of stuff. I don't agree in general. I think there's reasons for what's happening. But I also agree he did let us down yesterday. And also he gets sent off too much. And he should try and help with that. That's true. And so he's not the perfect player or defender. He definitely needs to work on how he goes into challenges. And given the fact that he's 28, he should be a bit more, with that kind of stuff. But I believe there's an unbelievable defender in there. And I think in the right conditions, he'd be sensational. And he is sensational. And we've seen that.
There's also a case to say that, well, it's hard to make this argument because I think Spurs are a better team with Romero than without Romero. But like I said before, when things aren't going too well, he does have this kind of streak in him that this can happen. And when we're in a battle that we're in right now, like, is he built for these kind of relegation battles? I'm not so sure.
Never been in one.
No, exactly.
So.
Mark P says, Poch told the board they needed a rebuild. The club didn't listen. This is what we've become. Yep.
We are literally... I can't believe we're here in the second year in a row. We're now even more in danger. It's crazy.
Yep. We're looking at a reality of a bottom four finish 2 years in a row. So at what point do we say, like, this is just what we are right now? We're a team that finished in the bottom four of the Premier League.
Yeah, and we've been dropping and dropping, haven't we? It's just... Yeah. God.
I still stand by, though. I still completely stand by saying the squad is nowhere near this bad.
Absolutely.
It's just madness that we're here. It's madness that we're here.
We should never be here. We should never be here in a million years. I think the squad is way better than this, but it's hard to make the argument right now when we were 17th last season and 14th, but again, and 14th now. But again, if you look at, for me, if you drill a bit deeper, I think you can see that the playing staff is not the main problem, albeit some people will put it down to that. But I think injuries combined with managerial decisions, combined with how the hierarchy is running, some of the stuff I think is why we are where we are. I think a lot of these players would look at home very comfortably. A lot of teams higher up the league than us.
Yeah. Jay says Romero was sent off for arguably less. This is the issue with consistency in the league. Appalling. So this is Brian Brobby's one. So Brobby obviously goes in quite high and goes down on the ankle and pulls out quite quickly.
On the shin there?
Yeah, on the shin. I mean, if Romero is a sending off, then that's got to be a sending off as well.
That's I think the main frustration with challenges like that. Like, again, that's why I say it's 50-50, whether they give them or not. Because a lot of them like that, they just won't. They'll just give a yellow.
But whether they give them or not is not real. Is not really the question. The question is it a sending off objectively, yes or no?
It's 50-50.
No, but to the letter of the law, it's a sending off. The ref made the wrong call there.
It's not, because the letter of the law is subjective. What do you call it? Dangerous. What's the actual wording? It's like dangerous challenge or something, or dangerous play. Is that the wording of the law?
Maybe
it's a red card or something. What's the? I don't know. Anyone in the chat would know what the actual wording of because that word that of the law It's subjective.
But
isn't it?
but both these challenges are both dangerous play.
In your opinion.
I think it is. I don't think it's opinion. I think
no, it's opinion.
I don't think it is because dangerous. I think it's factual that Romero's challenge yesterday was dangerous play. He goes in studs in the ankle. That could have caused a serious injury.
You can't be factual when the literal word is an opinion.
Fine, but was it dangerous of what Romero did yesterday?
I think
yes or no.
Probably yeah.
Who could say no? I don't understand when it could have caused a major injury.
It could have, but a lot of challenges that maybe aren't malicious or can be dangerous, but not all of them are red cards. Like is this one? This one's quite dangerous, but he gave a yellow. If it was factually a red, then it would have gone to VAR, but it didn't. It could be wrong or not, but there's a lot of these challenges like this that do just get away with yellows, and they're not seen as necessarily dangerous enough for a red. My point being is, for these kind of challenges where it's kind of like borderline, it's 50-50. Sometimes you're going to get it, sometimes you're not. I think when it come to Romero yesterday, it was quite low. It wasn't like very high, but it rolled his ankle, so it looks a lot worse, and especially with the slow-mo, it looks a hell of a lot worse, even though he kind of wins the ball, but then then he follows through. So it could have been a yellow. He gave the red. He can't have any complaints. But that's why I say it's 50-50 whether these ones they give or not. When there are some where they're just clear red cards, like absolute malicious, nowhere near the ball, like it's a red. But then there are some cases like this where, look, he touches the ball a bit and he just misses it. And is it enough to give a red? They said on this occasion, no. Romero's yes.
I think that's more of a problem with the referees than actual challenges. In my opinion, I think both of them should be sending offs, and I don't think any of the players should have complaints about if they were sending offs. So
I agree, but I'm just saying that it's just frustrating with the consistency and with the law, and what's deemed dangerous to one referee isn't deemed dangerous for another one.
Yeah, like Brennan Johnson, the one that he got sent off for earlier on in the season, like that's much less of a sending off than both of these.
And that was a VAR sending off.
Yeah, that was a VAR sending off, yeah. Craig Mitch says, all you people that defend Romero, I just don't get it. He's easily the worst captain there is. He has zero emotional intelligence.
What do you know about his emotional intelligence? What's that supposed to mean? But anyway, I'm not defending him after yesterday, but I am going to defend him in general when it comes to people painting this narrative of him just like us needing to sell him, we're better off without him. He's not a leader, or he's not a good captain. All this kind of stuff. I don't buy into that personally. I think he is. I think his heart's in the right place. I do think he cares about the club, and I do think he's an excellent defender. But right now, the club's in a mess, and don't get me wrong, he's also in a mess at the moment. But I think to point at him and say he's the main problem would be wrong.
I don't think anyone's pointing at him and saying he's the main problem. I don't think anyone is saying that.
Okay, but why should we sell him ahead of any other player?
We shouldn't.
That's my point.
We shouldn't, but people are highlighting Romero because of what happened yesterday.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not defending him for yesterday, but
if that doesn't happen, these conversations are not happening today. It's because he pretty much threw the game yesterday.
Okay, that's bad, and he should be criticised for that. But I'm talking about anyone. I'm not defending necessarily him yesterday, but I'm defending this notion that because what happened yesterday is evidence of him being a bad captain and all this kind of stuff, and he's not a leader, and he should be sold because he's a liability. I don't buy into that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he should be sold. If he was sold, I don't know. I wouldn't sit there crying about it. That's the reality. But I would prefer to keep him. That's also the reality.
I would sit here crying about it theoretically. I'm not going to cry, but I wouldn't be happy. I think it'll be another decision where we look back on why did we sell him? Like in terms of if anyone's happy about it, it'll be a wrong decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy about selling him. I don't think we can get someone better. We might be able to get someone that stays on the pitch, and might get someone that's not suspended for 10 games a season. So I don't know.
This one's been specifically bad. It's not always like this.
No. But this year has been a season of desperation, and we've needed him desperately, and he's not been there for us. And this year's the year he's captain.
It's true.
Nathan Clark says Romero suspended with additional yellow cards, suspension hanging over, a doggy soft tissue injury again, and West Ham looking close to the gap to 6 points. For the first time in my life as a Spurs fan, I am now just a tiny bit worried about the possibility of relegation. Only just tiny.
Tiny bit.
I'm massively worried.
Absolutely. As I say, we're not favourites for it, but doesn't mean we're not in it. And doesn't mean we're not one of the candidates. And it's a very real possibility that we could be dragged actually into the relegation zone, like at some point this season.
Yeah.
Like that is a very real possibility.
Simon Jimenez says, some of you need to give it a rest. Ridiculous to hear some of the fans label Romero is a liability when he's one of the biggest reasons we lifted our first trophy in 17 years just 8 months ago. He's not perfect, but talking about him like he's a weakness for this team is ludicrous.
Yeah, and that's kind of I agree with that.
But I think like with Romero, like over the course of a season, or particularly this season, has highlighted it probably the best and the worst of Romero. Like he's got us so many points just by himself, just like with these goals. But then again, you know, he's not been there a lot of the time for the team as well. So I think you've seen a lot of good and a lot of bad. So this is what I'm talking about, the consistency.
I know, but again, I would say, I'm not saying Romero doesn't take responsibility for his bad performances, but I think all bad moments. But I think again, a lot of it is a consequence of the bigger picture rather than just zooming in on him. There's a lot of players, like Porro's not had the best season. Is it because he just has to take responsibility for being bad, or is it a consequence of the bigger picture? I think a lot of players at the moment, Vicario as well, I think he's having he's not having a good season. Is it because of him himself, or is it a consequence of the bigger picture? I think you can zoom in a lot of players, but I think I understand Romero's captain, so hold himself to a higher standard, all this kind of stuff, but all I'm saying is I think right now he's not having a good time of it. Obviously because of, he has to take responsibility, but also it's a bigger consequence of the bigger picture mostly, in my opinion. I think that if the club is run right, we have a better situation on the pitch. I think you see a better Romero. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Altu Cop says, Ramos, serial winner, 18 red cards in 400 games as captain, the biggest club in the world. Romero, Copa World Cup winner, our first European trophy in 40 years, 6 red cards in 150 games. But our fans and media wet their fucking knickers and want rid. We deserve what's coming. Yidvid says, I think that's it for me with Romero. 3rd suspension of the season. Tries to bring the club into disrepute every chance he gets. His performance aren't good enough to put him up with him being a liability, especially on the so-called captain of the team. I mean, the narrative around Romero just like shifts weekly, doesn't it? It really does shift weekly. Like midweek, everyone was calling him a hero. Now everyone's saying, not everyone, but some people are calling for him to be sold. And this happens. This has happened throughout his Spurs tenure. This isn't new.
He's a divisive figure, isn't it? It's because he's so kind of brash with how he plays, and also because similar to like he's kind of people just like either love him or do think he's a liability, and I think that comes as a consequence of how he plays. Either he's like amazing, or if he's not on it, he can be caught out because he leaves himself to be exposed, if you know what I mean, with the way he plays. Because he can either be, if he's absolutely on it, and he's perfect in the game, he can be unbelievable and one of the best players in the league. But then as soon as he's off it by 1% or whatever, and he's caught out, he leaves himself to be exposed because the way he plays, leaves himself either with a foul or caught out of position because he's so proactive and so aggressive. So you're either going to love that or you hate that. And you know, I think people make their minds up very early and stick to it, don't they? And that's it.
Yeah, it's true.
But in terms of him bringing the club into disrepute every chance he gets, like,
the club do that to themselves.
Do exactly. I don't understand why they're saying it's Romero doing it. Like, I don't understand if do they support the same club, as if everything's going swimmingly and only Romero's making it a mess. He's messing everything up by calling out the board, and if it wasn't for Romero, everything would be hunky dory. And
I commend Romero for calling out the board,
like,
mate.
This is ridiculous that he's the one bringing the club into disrepute. We are in disrepute. We are in a constant state of disruption. So to say that Romero's trying to shake things up to get the board to realise, look, you're not doing enough here. Like, we are in the shit and we are struggling and we are needing help and you're letting us down. And to suggest that him doing that is the disruption, not the board themselves performing the way they are, disrupting the football club, is crazy to me.
This was the away fans yesterday singing Romero's right, the board is shy. It's just unfortunate that 30 seconds later he gets sent off.
Yeah, people were predicting this was going to be the chant going into it, and so it came out, and it was nice. But yeah, then just classic Spurs, isn't it? Yeah, just after saying that, he gets sent off.
Marcus Buckland says, hate to say it as he's given us some magical moments, but Spurs will be better off without Romero.
See, I just can't agree with that. I just don't agree with that, in my opinion. I just don't think we will be better off without him. I think we've got such a good player there, and if you use him right in a good system, he's phenomenal. And looking at Tottenham right now, I find it really hard to suggest that we could find a better one than Kuti right now on the market or whatever to replace him. I just don't think so. And I think, and I'm so sure that if he goes to a club in the right environment, with the right players around and the right manager, he's going to be one of their main players. And we're going to be looking at him and on Champions League nights, on finals, winning trophies. We'll be like, we had that player, and that's what we're going to be doing.
But we're not that club in the right moment, and it's probably best to let him go to further on his career, because he's just wasting his time here. That's the reality.
Yeah, but that's such a bollocks way of thinking about it.
But it's true.
It's true, but that's not the way to think about it. That's like saying, oh, we're not in the right moment for Kane, so the best thing for us to do is let him go. No, that's not the best thing for us.
I said the best thing for him.
Okay, but I care about Tottenham, not Romero.
Yeah.
So I want to keep him.
Of course, but the reality is we're on a road to nowhere right now. We're on a complete road to nowhere. So with or without Romero, we're screwed.
The only way to get back of that is to keep players like Romero on side and here. In my opinion, not to accept where we are and just let him go.
I don't disagree, but unless we get on the right path, it's all going to come to nothing with or without Romero. Anas Ahmed says, West Ham are now 6 points behind us. First time I'm genuinely concerned about the idea of relegation. Our league form, injury crisis, our captain suspended for the next 4 games, being unable to even win home games, and difficult fixtures coming up. Proper concerning now.
It's just everything is like... It's like a hurricane, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a hurricane of problems, and they're all just rolling into one.
Yeah. Pro Tottenham says, scary that we've only won 7 games this season in the Premier League. Wow. 5 of them came in the first 9 games. Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Since then, it's 2 wins in 16 with no real indication of where our next win's coming from. That is a terrifying stat for a club of our size, but facts and history tell you that no big club is safe from putting themselves into a position of relegation. Wolves, Forest, Leeds are all examples of clubs who were huge back in their prime, but now have been moulded into minnows of football. I fear Tottenham are on that exact path. And look, don't forget Aston Villa. Let's get it right as well. Johan Lang and all these cronies that he brought with him from Aston Villa, when they were there, they were also going in that direction. They were also looking down to relegation and flirting around those positions, albeit they only came up a few years before that. However, when Johan Lang was working in the role that he's working in at Tottenham with all the guys that he brought with him, I can't remember their names off the top of my head, they were going in the exact same direction. They sacked Lange, they got better recruitment in, and now they're fighting for European stuff, and there were even talks of them in a title race this season at one point. So get this guy out of our club, man.
Yeah, he's doing a horrible job, isn't he? Man.
Colin Miller says, this is a remarkable stat. In the 14 months since December 16, 2024, Tottenham Hotspur has won more matches in European football, 12 from 21 games, as they have done in the Premier League, which is 11 from 47 games.
Jesus Christ.
Jake Sanders says, this is the 3rd time in the last 30 months that Tottenham have gone 7 Premier League games without a win. It happened for 16 years prior to this. It hadn't happened for 16 years prior to this.
Wow. So what? Did we go last? I'm guessing last season, was there 1 or 2 stretches of games to win?
I think there must have been 2.
No, I guess this season was 2, because we've won 2 in the last 16, split out by 1 win against Palace.
No, yeah, you're right.
So I'm guessing it's that. And then last season there was a spell must have been between I think January and Feb or December and Jan that we went 7 games.
Yeah. Prem Inside says, am I crazy to think Romero was just kicking the ball? Obviously he's followed through, but what else is he supposed to do when his foot is in kicking motion?
Yeah, I understand what he's saying. It's hard to like pull back at that point once you've like gone for it. So there's not much you can do. I guess what you could say is, should he have just gone to follow through like that, like just really gone to smash the ball away rather than do something else with the risk of if he misses the ball, then that can happen. I guess that's what I guess you would say.
Well, that is the way the internet did react to the game yesterday. Very, very scary if you're a Spurs fan right now. We just need to get wins. Doesn't matter how they come. Let's haram ball it up for the next games and nick them off set piece. I mean, that's what we've been trying to do anyway. Let's be reality. But we'll have to see how it all pans out.
What Frank has done, he's brown-beaten me so much I don't care about the style of play anymore.
Yeah.
Don't even care. Just get the wins, get the points. Well done, Frank. You've got what you wanted. I just care about results now. Smash the ball into the back post as much as possible. Get as many corners as you want. As long as you get those wins and keep us up, that's all that matters now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in survival mode from now until we get 3 wins, basically. So I want to thank you all for joining us today. We'll see you all tomorrow. Tomorrow's preview day because we got Newcastle on Tuesday. So I'm guessing we'll hear from Frank in the media tomorrow. And we'll see you then, people. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.